A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Kroger Tenderay Beef. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. Presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed. You know, fortune-telling is not a specialty of ours, but we can tell you right now that you'll say it was a mighty fortunate day for you when you visited your Kroger store to buy Kroger quality beef. What a tasty treat. Tender? Yes, ma'am. Delicious? You betcha. Why, it's just brimming with flavory-rich juices, with delicious tenderness. Just think what a wonderful thrill it'll be for you to surprise your family with a thick, juicy steak, or a crusty brown roast of beef. Or perhaps the folks at your house go for savory beef stew, or boiled beef with horseradish. Well, no matter which main dish you choose, you'll find the delightful goodness of Kroger quality beef will please the entire family. Remember, Kroger quality beef is carefully selected from the best beef on the market today. And not only is it the best grade of beef available, it's priced for real thrift, too. So be sure to visit your Kroger store soon, the only place you can buy it, and get Kroger quality beef. It's deliciously tasty and tender, and it's available now at your Kroger store. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Penny's brother, Pat, has agreed to leave his daughter, Valerie, in Penny's care, provided she employs young Nora Williams as a nurse for the child. Penny agrees. But since she and Pat have little money, this poses a problem. It's the next morning now, and Penny is at her stepfather's office when Johnny Keith enters.
Hello there, Penny. I didn't know you were here.
Oh, good morning, Johnny. I'm sorry to bother you. I just came down to get the bonds I've had in Jed's safe. He left a key with me, you know.
Yes, I know. Say, you're not going to cash these bonds, are you, Penny?
Oh, Johnny, I don't know. I kind of wanted to look them over first. I'd sort of forgotten how many I had and how much they were worth.
Just like a woman.
Johnny Keith, I don't like that. Not a bit. Just that I've had them so long, I've kind of forgotten.
Yeah, I was only trying to tease you. Say, who's staying with the baby?
Oh, Pat's with us this morning. That's why I came down here today. He's leaving for New York tomorrow, you know. It'll be some time before he gets back.
Yeah, so I understand. Look, I was talking to Freddie earlier this morning. I understand you're in a rather tight spot.
Johnny, you know that Freddie exaggerates sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, but I don't think he was exaggerating this time. Look, I know it's none of my business what you do, and I have no right in the world to offer you
advice. If you're going to say that I'm wrong to take the responsibility for Valerie, don't, Johnny.
Well, Penny, you realize what it'll do to you.
It'll make me very happy to have her, even if it's for just a little while.
It may be for a long while, Penny. Maybe forever.
Oh, Johnny, that'd be too much to hope for. Someday Pat'll want her back.
Okay, I'll argue from that angle, then. How will you feel if you've given 5 or maybe 10 years of your life to bringing up that child and then giving her up?
It's Pat who's giving her up, right now.
For a matter of convenience or because he's forced to. And he's only had her a few months. Think how he must hate to let her go after such a short time. Penny, it'll break your heart to give her up after having her for years.
I'll worry about that when the time comes, Johnny.
It'll be too late to worry about it then. There'll be no way of avoiding heartbreak then. Now's the time to dunk it, Penny.
I'll take the chance.
You'll ruin your life now and break your heart later, huh? Well, it's a fine future you've mapped out for yourself.
Right now, Valerie's future's a lot more important than mine is, Johnny. You know, you're not going to talk me out of it, so why don't you stop trying?
Because I want to do more than try. I want to convince you you're making a mistake.
What would you like me to do? Tell Pat to put her in a home?
No, but...
But what?
I don't know
You
what.
see, Johnny, there's really no choice in the matter. I could have told Pat to put Valerie in a home. There's a swell one in Wayne City. Or I could have told him to take her to Mother and Jed. They'd adore to have her.
You bet they would. And speaking of your mother, you think she'll approve of your tying yourself down with Pat's baby?
No, I not only think so, Johnny, I know so. I talked to her on the phone last night.
Oh?
Oh, incidentally, Jed's almost well again.
Oh, good,
Mm-hmm.
good. He's too tough to stay sick, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
What'd your mother say about you taking Valerie?
Oh, she thought it was wonderful. Especially since I agreed to hire this little Nora Williams to help me.
Oh, you mean that cute girl who stayed with the baby last Thursday night? You know, I'm going to be ringing your doorbell more often from now on.
Johnny Keith, you're a married man.
Yes, I know. And you're never going to let me forget it, are you?
Oh, Johnny, please, let's not start that again.
Well, you started it. I didn't.
I was only trying to be funny.
Sure, I realize that. But that's nothing to joke about with me, and you know why.
Johnny, please, let's drop the subject.
Okay. But will you let me convince you you're wrong to saddle yourself with that baby?
No. No, nothing will ever convince me that it's not the right thing to do. Oh, Johnny, you don't know how much I love her, how much fun it's going to be.
Okay. Don't say any more. If I can't talk you out of it, I'll do my best to make it easier for you.
Thank you. But there's nothing you can do.
No?
No.
Freddie told me about your finances this morning.
I might have known he'd tell you about that. Why did I let him know?
I'm glad you did for a couple of reasons.
Oh?
For one, I'm beginning to see what's really inside that kid. You know, there's nothing wrong with Freddie that time isn't going to fix. You know what he asked me this morning?
What?
If he couldn't work nights and earn a few dollars extra so he could pay that plus part of his regular salary to you for his keep.
Oh, that poor kid. As if he doesn't work hard enough as it is.
Well, he's willing to work harder. Even skip his half holiday on Monday so he can give you enough money to make it count.
Johnny, don't let him work nights.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to. But he won't take something for nothing, you know. So I'm going to let him work full-time on Mondays from now on and give him a little more money.
He deserves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
And he deserves to keep it, too. Johnny, try to talk him out of giving me money for staying at the house, will you? I'll be able to manage without it.
I think you are, too, Penny, because I'm going to give you a job.
You are?
Sure. Why not? After all, this is your stepfather's place. Why shouldn't you work here? And I need help.
Oh, no, Johnny, I couldn't.
Look, do you have to be against everything I say?
Johnny Keith, it just isn't right.
What do you mean it isn't right?
Well, I feel as if I were accepting charity.
Charity? Now, don't fool yourself, sister. There's really a lot of work to do here. I was going to hire a girl anyway, but I haven't been able to find one with the right experience. And you're just it. You're just right. And Jed'd be awfully tickled.
I suppose Jed wouldn't object, would he?
Oh, and your mother'd feel much easier about it, too. I know she'd rather have you working here with me and for Jed's company than for a pack of strangers. Now, what do you say? Can you start tomorrow?
All right, Johnny.
Had a girl. It'll be like old times, won't it? You and I
No,
working.
Johnny. No, it won't be like old times. Because if it is like old times, it can't go on, that's all. Let's keep that in mind from the start, shall we, Johnny? It'll save a lot of trouble later on. I'd like to...
Oh, hello, Nora.
Oh, good morning, Miss Dodge.
What are you doing at the Gibbs house?
Waiting for Miss Gibbs. I may go to work here. Maybe starting today, I hope.
Oh. Oh, will it be all right if I come in for a minute?
Oh, I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will, too.
Come in.
Are you expecting Miss Gibbs at any particular time, Nora?
Oh, any minute now, I guess. Her brother said she went downtown for just a little while.
Uh-huh. Oh, her brother's here now.
Yes, but he's out in the garage fixing something.
I see. So you may go to work here after all, Nora.
Yes, Miss Dodge, and isn't it just scrumptious? I'll be taking care of the baby and everything.
Oh, I don't know, Nora. A young girl with your looks and intelligence should be able to do better than this.
Oh, crickets, Miss Dodge. Is there anything wrong with this?
Well, there are much nicer homes in Rosedale than this.
But I don't think I'd like them as much as I like this one.
Well, how do you know until you've been in the other homes?
Well, I've been in yours, Miss Dodge.
Oh, you object to my home?
Oh, crickets. No, Miss Dodge. It's beautiful and wonderful and marvelous and all that, but it's too big, and the people are so... Well, I just don't feel as if I belong in the place you live in.
I see. You prefer something a little more ordinary.
Oh, I don't know. All I know is I like it here.
Well, you stay here then, Nora, if it makes you happy. But, Nora.
Yes?
Remember that you wouldn't have even this job if I hadn't sent you here in the first place.
Oh, yes, I'll remember, Miss Dodge. And I'm ever so grateful. Daddy said to be sure to thank you when I saw you again.
Well, never mind the thanks. Nora, you look as if you're a smart girl. How would you like to repay me for what I've done for you?
Oh, it'd be just super if I could.
Well, you can, Nora, and quite easily, too. And I'll pay you, of course.
Pay me?
Yes.
Oh, I want to be paid. You see, Miss Gibbs
Yes,
is...
I realize that, but Miss Gibbs won't pay you much. At least not as much as you'll want for pretty clothes and jewelry. You'll want to have your hair done. You know, Nora, you'd be quite a hit with the boys if you had the money to make yourself look as you could.
Oh, I'll never have that much money, Miss Dodge.
Oh, yes, you will, dear. I'll pay you well.
But golly, Miss Dodge, what for? I'm going to work here.
I know. And while you're working here, you'll find out a lot of things about your mistress. You'll know who comes to call on her, and you'll be able to... Well, Nora, you'll have the run of the house every now and then when you're left all alone.
Oh, no, Miss Dodge, I could never do anything like that.
Of course you could, Nora. Especially when you see how well I'm going to pay you.
Oh, Miss Dodge, I'd do just anything you wanted me to. I'm so grateful. But, Miss Gibbs is...
I'll have to run now, Nora. I think that's Miss Gibbs' car coming in the driveway.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, she's going around to the garage. I'll just slip out the front way. Tell her I couldn't wait.
All right, I will.
And, Nora, I want your word. Don't you dare tell Miss Gibbs what you're going to do for me. And you are going to do what I ask. You understand?
Yes, Miss Dodge.
I knew you'd be smart about it. Bye.
Goodbye, Miss Dodge. Oh, crickets, grasshoppers,
Hello,
and little
Laura.
green snakes. Oh, hello, Miss Gibbs.
I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long.
Oh, crickets, no.
Good. Oh, I see you brought your suitcase just as you said you would.
Yes, I did. I won't have to take it back to the farm with me this afternoon, I hope.
Oh, no. You take it right upstairs into the room next to the nursery and unpack it, Nora.
Oh,
This is your new home now.
Miss Gibbs, how super scrumptious. You really mean it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I got a job this morning, Nora, so you got a job, too. You still want it?
Oh, crickets, do I want it, Miss Gibbs? You know I do.
And it's yours. And welcome to your new home, Nora.
Oh, thank you, Miss Gibbs. Thank you ever so much.
Oh, you don't have to thank me. Oh, by the way, were you talking to someone just before I came in?
Oh, yes, Miss Gibbs. I meant to tell you right away. Miss Dodge was just here.
Madeline Dodge?
Yes, the real rich lady. She told me to tell you she couldn't wait.
That's too bad. I wonder why she came to see me. Nora, did she say what she wanted?
Yes, she did, Miss Gibbs, but I can't tell you what it was.
Why not?
Well, she made me promise not to tell.
Oh, I see.
Oh, it's nothing to worry about, Miss Gibbs. Honest, it isn't, because, oh, crickets, I just die before I do what she asked me to.
Well, there's certainly no doubt of Nora's loyalty to Penny, is there? Or is the lure of money going to be too great for the poor girl? And just why does Madeline Dodge want to know so much about Penny Gibbs? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. There's nothing quite like a delicious beef dinner to welcome your family home from a day's work. And the best beef that's available on today's market is Kroger Quality Beef. Yes, Kroger Quality Beef is deliciously tender and juicy. And it's your 100% correct answer to what shall I have for dinner. Now is the time to serve the dinner that's sure to please everybody at the house. Now is the time to thrill your folks with a delicious beef dinner. Surprise them by serving boiled beef with a tangy horseradish sauce to enhance the goodness of savory meat. Delight them with roast beef that's crusty brown and juicy red. Or satisfy those vigorous appetites with a magnificently thick steak. Soon as you can, visit your Kroger store and get Kroger Quality Beef. And remember, Kroger Quality Beef is the very best beef you can buy today. Now, your local announcer.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A 30-year-old woman is missing. 3 months pass before her disappearance is reported. There's not a trace of the woman. No lead to her whereabouts. Your job? Find her.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
That's right. Fatimas are different. They taste better.
Yet king-size Fatima costs no more than the cigarette you're now smoking.
And because of its quality, more smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
So compare Fatima yourself today. You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Remember, the cost of Fatima is the same as the cigarette you're now smoking.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Next time, buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, June 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the stats office, and it was 10:18 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Hi, Joe. Been waiting for you.
Hi.
Ma'am, I'd like to have you meet my partner, Sergeant Friday. Joe, this is Miss Daly, Ruth Daly.
How do you do?
How are you,
Miss Daly came in to file a missing report on her sister, Joe. She already talked to missing persons, and they sent her in to see us. Oh, have a chair, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, what's it all about, miss?
I just started to tell Sergeant Ramirez
That's
here.
Romero, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Romero. Well, it's about my sister Bernice, Sergeant. She's missing. I wondered if maybe you people could help me find her.
Well, what's your sister's name?
Bernice. I guess you want her married name, Mrs. James Butler. Her description will be just about the way I look. Bernice and I are twins.
Mm-hmm. When did your sister disappear, ma'am?
In March. The first weekend in March. She disappeared on a Saturday.
Well, that's 3 months ago, Miss Daly. How is it this wasn't reported sooner?
Well, as a matter of fact, I halfway expected her husband to report it. I talked to him about it when Bernice was gone 2 weeks. He didn't seem too worried.
Is there any reason for him not to worry?
Well, there isn't a way. You see, Bernice has gone off before, about a year ago. She picked up and went to Arizona without telling anybody. When she came back, she said she just wanted to get away for a while. She didn't want to be around here.
Well, how long did she stay away that time?
Almost a month.
Well, how about your sister's married life? She get along with her husband all right?
Well, first 5 years they were married, it worked all right. Then it sort of turned sour. I don't know what happened. They used to be happy.
Well, what was the trouble, do you know?
That's the funny part. I don't. Wouldn't even know who to blame for it, Jimmy or Bernice. Both of them started drinking a lot, pretty heavy. Seemed to me around that time Jimmy began to get a little funny.
I see. Has he ever been violent towards your sister, Miss Daly? I mean, has he struck her or anything like that?
Oh, no. Really, Jimmy's kind of a milquetoast character. Timid, skinny. Most of the time afraid to say boo. Yesterday I went over to the house to visit Jimmy. I tried to make conversation. He just sat in his chair reading a book. Every time I mentioned Bernice, he'd kind of look up and growl at me.
Mm-hmm.
I got sick of it. I put on my coat and started for the door. He followed me.
Mm-hmm. Did he say anything at all?
Yes. When I opened the door, I turned around to say goodbye.
Yeah?
He had this real horrible look on his face. He said it right out loud, plain as day.
What's that?
He said, "You'd be surprised if I killed her, wouldn't you? You'd be surprised."
10:40 a.m. We finished taking a complete statement from Ruth Daly regarding the disappearance of her married sister, Bernice Butler. Before she left, we got the business address of her brother-in-law. A broadcast and a missing bulletin was gotten out, and then Ben and I drove across town to have a talk with the husband of the missing woman, James Butler. We located him at work in a job printing shop on South Vermont, where he was employed as a journeyman printer. He was in his early 30s, thin, blonde hair, light complexion, about 5'7", 125 pounds. He wore a pair of rimless glasses. Ben and I introduced ourselves and began to interview him. He was close-mouthed and not too cooperative. He seemed to resent every question we asked him. While we talked, he worked over a paper-cutting machine.
You'll have to admit it's a little out of the ordinary, Mr. Butler. Your wife missing 3 months and you acting like you've been gone 3 hours. Did you hear me, Butler?
I heard you.
Well, what about it?
Just a minute. Well,
You know, it's not ordinary her going away. I'm married to her. I'd know my own wife.
We talked to your wife's sister this morning, Ruth Daly. She seems to think you might know all about your wife disappearing.
She does?
That's right.
In my way, I got to get that other set of cards.
Oh, yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. There's something wrong with him.
Sure got a big grudge for somebody his size.
I wonder what that girl meant when she called him bashful.
Yeah, about as bashful as a wild boar in a plum thicket.
In my way, I got to get in there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I haven't got any spare time to talk. I have to get this order out.
It'll only take a few minutes if you'll be good enough to cooperate.
Haven't got the time, that's all.
It's almost your lunch hour, isn't it? Suppose we can talk then?
Got no time then either. Don't you talk to Ruth. She seems to know it all.
Now, listen, that's about enough of this, mister. We ask you civil questions, we expect civil answers. If you think this isn't important, change your mind. Your wife's been gone for 3 months. Nobody's seen or heard from her, and it's our job to check it. Now, you can talk to us here or downtown. You take your pick.
Have to finish up this batch first. We can talk out in the alley and back. I want everybody knowing my business.
That's fine with us. You do what you have to do. We'll wait for you.
Sure is aching for an argument, huh?
Yeah, I wonder what his big trouble is.
Maybe a hangover. Looks a little used up.
Yeah, could be.
If he had something to do with his wife's disappearing, you'd think he'd try to cover the way he's acting. He doesn't seem to care what we think.
Now, let's see what kind of a story he's got.
Okay, it's this way, out back.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, what's the big deal?
You ever been arrested, Butler?
Nope. Almost a couple of times. They couldn't get me.
What kind of trouble were you in?
They said they didn't get me. I'm not going to put myself in hot water.
We'd like to find out how your wife was before she disappeared. Do you know of any reason why she'd go off the way she did? Any reason why she'd stay away 3 months without any word?
No, I don't know any reason.
Well, how about your relatives, your friends? You checked to see if she might be with one of them?
They'd call if she was.
You never checked with them?
No. Think Ruth did.
You have any big arguments with your wife, Butler? Around the time she disappeared, I mean?
We had them all the time. She bothered me. She was too fresh. I beat it out of her.
That's so.
You got to. Give him a little freedom. They think he can take over. Nag him, tell you what to do, what not to do. Sick of it.
We'd like a straight answer here, Butler. Did you want your wife out of the way?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, do you know why she's missing?
Could be a lot of reasons. Might know one.
Did you kill your wife, Butler?
It'd be silly to tell you that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Did you kill her?
Only one way I'll say yes to that.
Yeah?
When you prove it.
Well, it wasn't easy to understand. From the way it started, our interview with James Butler would get us nothing. We had no evidence against him, nothing to indicate definitely that his wife had met foul play, nothing but a suspicious remark he was supposed to have made to his sister-in-law, Ruth Daly. But once we'd left the print shop and got out in the back alley where he couldn't be overheard, he was full of information. Besides telling us that he beat his wife, Butler also admitted that he'd threatened her life on several occasions, twice in the presence of friends. He seemed to take some kind of a peculiar pride in admitting how violent he'd been with his wife. Ben and I took him downtown, questioned him further, and listened to him talk. He made veiled hints that he'd been involved in various criminal activities in this country and also in Europe, that he was a close friend with a half a dozen notorious underworld gang leaders, that he was ruthless and clever enough to dispose of his wife if he wanted to and still avoid prosecution. While we were talking, Ben had James Butler's name and description double-checked through the record bureau file. There was no previous criminal record listed for him. As far as we knew, at no time had he even been held under suspicion in the criminal investigation. The next day, together with Brian and Lopez from Homicide, Ben and I made the rounds of Mr. and Miss Butler's friends, relatives, and neighbors. 4:25 p.m. We got back to the office.
Oh, hi, Lopez.
Hi, Ben, Joe. What's doing?
Nothing great. How'd you two make out?
Yeah, it's a funny setup to me. I'd say the guy's a phony. Everybody we talk to, everybody who knows Butler, they all say the same thing.
What's that?
Guy's afraid of his own shadow. He's a milquetoast. Nothing to him. And what'd you get?
Well, about the same. Every housewife around the neighborhood out where they live, they all told us the same thing. The guy's a hen-pecked husband. His wife laid down the laws, and he follows them.
Psycho case, huh? He must be.
Don't know how else to explain it. Every time I asked one of their friends if Butler beat up his wife, they laughed in my face. Said he wouldn't even dare cash his check on payday. Had to bring it home. If anybody got beat up, it must have been him.
Yeah, he sure tells a great story. He could make you believe he was a bluebeard.
Did you get any different answers at all, Lopez?
Yeah, one maybe. Yeah, let me take a look. Let's see. Here. Mrs. Irene Brady. She's an aunt of Mrs. Butler.
Uh-huh.
She said the same thing about Butler, about him being a real mouse and all. And she told us about the dizzy things he'd been doing the last couple of years.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, 4 or 5 times she said he just went out looking for trouble, go in a neighborhood bar, insult some big stevedore, he'd get his face pushed in. He always picked big guys. Didn't seem to mind getting beat up as long as he could insult them.
Not much doubt, I guess. The guy's ready for the nut for him.
Well, apparently he's got a big beef with people who push him around. Maybe he figured if he could take care of just one of those people, he could even up the score.
How do you mean, Joe?
Well, Mrs. Butler, the wife, she's probably the one who gave him the worst time. If he's a little bit off mentally, that'd make him capable of murder, wouldn't it?
Could be, yeah. Maybe the wife poured it on real strong, drove him to it.
Crazy as a coot, that guy. Too many movies, mystery books.
I got it. Homicide, Mel. Oh, yes, ma'am. How's that? When was that? Yes, ma'am. Yes, as soon as we can. What? That does it.
Was it?
That was the sister-in-law, Ruth Daly. Just told me she's positive Butler murdered his wife.
What makes you think so?
Number one, she says Butler told her so. He admitted it to her last night.
Well, it doesn't hold any more water than the rest of his stories.
I don't know. The Daly girl says she's positive she's got the evidence to prove it.
What's that?
A murder weapon. Bloodstains all over it.
4:45 p.m. Ben and I got in the car and drove out to the home of Mr. and Mrs. Butler, where we found the missing woman's sister waiting for us on the front stairs. She told us she'd been doing some kind of checking of her own through the house that afternoon. In going over the attic, she said she'd found a claw hammer hidden under a loose board in the attic floor. She said the hammer was covered with what appeared to be dry blood stains. She took us inside, up the stairs, to the attic.
Careful of the steps, officers. It's an old house getting ready to fall apart.
Yeah. Watch the step here, Joe.
Yeah, I'm all right. Go ahead.
Light's good and bright. That's how I happen to see the loose boards over here.
Mm-hmm. Did you pick up the hammer, Miss Daly?
No. I started to, but then I remembered about fingerprints and things. Just where I found it. Didn't touch it.
Hey, you want a pencil, Joe? Maybe you can get it in the claw there?
No, I think we can see it right where it is.
Let's see. Could be, huh? Bloodstain?
Well, it sure looks like it. On the handle here, all over the head of the hammer.
I knew it. I knew there was something wrong the day she disappeared.
Hey, look at this, Joe. I just noticed. These stains on the floor. Whole trail of them, see? Lead right to the door.
Yeah, we better get the crime lab on and have Lee Jones run the benzidine test on him. What time does he usually get home from work, Miss Daly, your brother-in-law?
About 6 o'clock. Don't know about today, though.
How do you mean? Does he work late on Tuesdays?
No, but I wanted to make sure he wouldn't be home when I came over today. I called the print shop where he works. He's not there. Called again this afternoon. Jimmy hasn't been seen since last night.
Is he in the habit of skipping work?
No, he never does. I called every one of his friends I know of. Bernice's friends, too. I called them. The places he hangs around, nobody's seen him. Not since last night, since you talked to him.
And you got no idea where he might be?
No. Just like Bernice. He disappeared.
You're in the statistician's office of a Metropolitan Police Department.
Have you made the run on this one? WMA, 5'7", 160 pounds. Suspect is left-handed, operates on foot.
We punched up the maps of the cards in the machine. We'll make the run now.
Okay, fine.
There are many suspects to choose from. You're looking for one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the one we want.
When you have a choice to make, you want to be sure. And you can be sure of Fatima quality. That's why we ask you to compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Side by side, Fatimas are the same in length and circumference. 85 millimeters long, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima gives long cigarette smokers all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Next time, insist on the best. Buy Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes.
Tuesday, June 10th, 5:20 p.m. Ben got on the phone and called around town to check further on the whereabouts of James Butler, the husband of the missing woman. No luck. We called the office, and they got out a broadcast and an APB on Butler. We drove downtown to the crime lab, gave him the claw hammer that we found in the Butler's attic, and asked him to run a benzidine test on the stains. We'd also made arrangements for Lee Jones to run similar tests on the stains we'd found on the floor of the attic.
3 days passed. Butler was gone. There was no sign of him. The search was intensified. Another 3 days went by. Monday, June 16th, we got an answer on the APB. A phone call from the chief of police in Tulare, California.
Yeah, James Michael Butler, WMA, 33 years, 5 foot 728 pounds. Blonde hair, hazel eyes. Hey, you got a North Hancock Street address down there, that right?
Yeah, that sounds like the man we're looking for.
He's a real weird one, Friday. Caused a little trouble at one of the taverns up here last night. Kept picking fights with the biggest truck drivers he could find. We locked him up after his third fight. He had her jailed in an uproar all night. Wild one.
What'd he do?
All shouting all over the place. Couldn't do anything with him.
Uh-huh.
Keeps telling everybody how smart he is.
Yeah?
Says he killed his wife, but nobody's ever going to find out.
James Butler was returned to Los Angeles, where he underwent further interrogation in addition to a psychiatric test. The test showed that he was definitely abnormal, but he was still judged mentally competent. The crime lab's tests on the bloodstains found on the hammer and on the floor of the attic in the Butler's home revealed that the stains were made by animal blood, not human. We questioned Butler about it, but we failed to get him to even admit he knew anything about the stains. He was released from custody, but he was kept under surveillance. A week passed. 2 weeks. Nothing developed. Still no sign of a missing woman, Bernice Butler. Still no definite sign of foul play in connection with her disappearance. No definite sign that her husband was criminally involved in any way. Considering all the angles of the case, we were still inclined to figure that he fitted in somewhere. He had some direct hand in his wife's disappearance. We stayed on it. Nothing happened. On June 26th, the twin sister of the missing woman, Ruth Daly, met Ben and I at the office and laid out a plan she had in mind. She insisted we try it.
You mean you want to work on his emotional nature and try to get some kind of an admission out of him? Is that the whole idea?
That's it, Sergeant. I know what a nut he is about being dramatic. I know it'll work.
Well, it's possible, yeah. How do you figure to set it up?
It won't be very hard. For one thing, you know my sister Bernice and I look quite a bit alike. People always take us for one another.
Yeah.
You can get Jimmy out of the house at night for some reason or other. I'll slip in and go upstairs and put on one of the dresses Bernice used to wear all the time. I'll sit there in the upstairs bedroom with just the hall light on. Just enough light so we can see me when you bring him upstairs. I'll even bring over Bernice's pet cat she had, Siamese. He always hated the cat.
I don't know, ma'am. I'm not quite sure about it.
Well, it might be worth a chance. It's not too orthodox, but maybe it'll work.
If I know Jimmy, it'll work, Sergeant. If you can just warm him up to it ahead of time before you bring him upstairs. When he sees me sitting in that room with a cat, I know he'll think it's Bernice. We're bound to get some kind of reaction. That's better than we're doing.
Yeah? Ben, what do you think?
Sounds like a movie script. I don't know. It's like she says, I guess. We're bound to get a reaction.
I know it'll work. I'm sure of it.
Joe?
All right, let's give it a try. The following night, a few minutes before 8 o'clock, Ben and I got James Butler away from his house on the pretext of taking him downtown for further interrogation. We delayed long enough to make sure that Ruth Daly, the sister of the missing woman, had plenty of time to get into the house, change her clothes, and take her place in the upstairs room with her sister's pet Siamese cat. Then we started back for the house. We'd made arrangements to have Brian and Lopez from Homicide standing by, concealed in the immediate vicinity of the house in case they were needed. 11:05 p.m. While we drove him back toward his home, Butler was talkative, but not too relaxed. It was the same line we'd heard before, how tough he could be when he wanted to, the same hints that he was an undiscovered killer, one of the more talented professionals in the deadly circles of the underworld.
I came from Illinois originally, Cicero. You guys know how it is back there. You have to stay right up on your toes.
Yeah. How long you been out here now, Butler?
You expect me to tell you that? I'm wise the way you guys work. You're not going to get me on questions like that one.
I understand you do quite a bit of reading, Jim. You come across anything good lately?
Nah, nothing lately. All the good books, they've already been written. Edgar Allan Poe, Stevenson, de Maupassant, Gogol. They know how to tell a good murder story. These new guys are a waste of time. Reading, that's all reading. That's what I like to do. Not that modern junk, only the best. You take some of Poe and Stevenson, for instance. I know those guys.
That's so.
Sure, I know their stuff well enough to tell you. I got whole pages memorized. How'd you like to hear some? Stevenson made it.
All right, go ahead.
I have to belie my nature. All men do. All men are better than this disguise that grows about and stifles them. You see, each dragged away by life like one whom bravos have seized and muffled in a cloak. If they had their own control, if you could see their faces, they would be altogether different. They would shine out for heroes and for saints. I am worse than most. Myself is more overlaid. My excuse is known to me and to God. But had I the time, I could disclose myself. That's out of Stevenson, you know. Pretty smart fellow, huh?
Yeah, sure is. You got a pretty good memory.
I read those books all the time. Nothing better. Is the house all right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, maybe I'll see you later, huh? Thanks for the ride.
Well, I'll tell you, we'd like to come in the house with you if you don't mind, Butler. One or two things we'd like to check over, if that's all right with you.
It's all right, sure. Guess you ought to know by this time, huh? Nothing I'd hide in that house that you'd ever want to find. Come on, let's go.
Sure dark out, isn't it? A little bit chilly.
Yeah. What do you want to check over in the house?
Oh, just one or two things. Just routine, Jim. We won't keep you long.
Guess I ought to be a little burned at you cops by now, huh? Getting all this rousting. How about laying off pretty soon? Maybe I am getting a little burned. If you can prove something on old Jimmy Butler, prove it. If you can't do it, let him alone.
Mm-hmm. We're just tying up a few loose ends here, Jim. There's nothing to get excited about. What's the matter? Did you get your front door key?
I got it. My business, you learn not to forget anything. Can't afford to forget.
Yeah, quite a big place you got, Butler. You stay here all by yourself?
That's the way I like it, by myself. If you want to look at anything, you can look now. When you're through, I got some bourbon in the cellar. I keep a big booze cellar, you know. All first-rate stuff. What's the matter?
Oh, nothing, Jim. Thought I heard a cat someplace, did you?
No cats in this house. What do you mean you heard a cat? I hate the lousy things. I wouldn't have one.
Didn't you tell us once your wife had a cat? I think it was you. You didn't like it much, did you?
Killed the lousy thing. Got an axe and killed it. Dumb wife of mine used to drive me crazy with it. Cat hair all over the place. You know how it is. Got an axe and killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There it is. I thought I heard it. Guess you got another one, huh, Butler?
I'll get rid of that thing. I'll find him and get rid of him right now. Some stairs.
I suppose the house makes you think of your wife quite a bit, doesn't it, Jim?
What?
Well, I mean, you spent so much time in it together, you and Bernice. Got quite a few memories for you, I guess, huh?
I'll find that thing if it takes all night. I'll get the axe and I'll find the thing.
It's up here, all right. Maybe down the hall there.
Bernice's room. She had the cat. What's it doing here? There's no reason for it.
Could have wandered back in.
Can't we get more light in this hallway? I can't see anything. Cat could be anywhere. What's it doing here alone? The cat was always with Bernice, never left it.
Oh, sounds to me like it's just around here, maybe through that door there. You think?
Bernice's room. I killed the lousy cat. He couldn't be in there.
Oh, might be it's just a cat out in the street, out in the side alley, maybe, huh?
Mm-hmm. Probably not even in the house. Take a look in her room here. No. No, it ain't real. She's not there. She's not there.
Don't hurt the cat. Not the poor cat, Jimmy. Don't kill him. Not both of us. Don't kill the cat, please. Don't kill two of us.
You go away. You go away. You're not there. It's a fake. You're not there, Bernice.
Please, Jimmy. Not both of us. Don't kill both of us.
Some kind of a trick. Now, you go away, Bernice. You're dead and I killed you. You're downstairs. You're in the ground. You're deep in the ground. I killed you. You can't be sitting here.
Please, Jimmy. Please.
All right, Butler. Come here.
No. Get away. You get away from me. She's downstairs. She's in the ground. I'll show you. You can't trick me. I'll show you.
Grab him, Ben. Grab him. I can't. I can't.
Dear God.
Come on, Ben. Downstairs.
Yeah. I tried to grab him. Tried to. He broke away. Yeah.
Lopez.
Here, Joe. Here. Did you see it, Lopey?
Yeah. Good drop from the window. He came fast.
Yeah.
Not too pretty, huh?
Must be something, huh? How about getting a doctor?
Yeah, he lost the doctors when he hit that sidewalk. There's only one thing left I know.
Yeah?
Call a priest.
In his suicide leap from the top story of his house, James Butler died instantly on the pavement below. Afterwards, when the reports were made out and the deputy coroner removed the body, a special detail of men was sent out to help probe the grounds around the Butler home and also the ground directly beneath the house. The search was thorough. The ground was dug up foot by foot. We found nothing. Butler's last admission before his death that he'd killed his wife and buried her in the grounds adjoining the house seemed to be as empty and worthless as some of the other stories that he told us. The painstaking search for the body of James Butler's wife went on. We found nothing. Alive or dead, there was still no trace of her. Butler's friends and relatives held a modest funeral for him, and he was buried in a small cemetery south of the city. In Missing Persons Bureau, there were still no leads on the case of Bernice Butler. It was still open. Summer finally got to an end. The fall season came and went, and then Christmas and the holidays, and then back into January and February. On a rainy morning early in March, almost a year to the very day when the case started, we got a communication from San Francisco. It had come to the notice of the police through the county health department.
In regard to your APB of June so-and-so last year, this is to inform you that Mrs. Bernice Butler has been a patient in the tubercular ward, County Hospital, San Francisco, since June 16th of last year. Apparently, her case was considered critical from the day she was admitted to the hospital. Last Thursday, she succumbed to the illness. Identification was established, next of kin notified, but no one claimed the body. She was buried at county expense. I trust this may aid you in establishing facts pertinent to her disappearance. Well, how about that?
It doesn't figure, does it?
Sooner or later you get them all. How would you figure out that night we had Butler at the house? I mean, we had his sister-in-law in there and he thought he saw his wife?
Oh, who knows? Suppose he really had himself talked into it. He thought he committed 100% murder. Guess he thought about it long enough till he convinced himself. Must have worked out something like that inside his mind.
Mm-hmm. Imagine he lived right through it. Figured he really killed her. When it came for the punishment, he was ready to buy that. There wasn't any way out, so he jumped.
Mixed up can he get, huh?
That's too bad. All things considered, I guess he loved her quite a bit.
Well, it doesn't seem to matter now what he did. Wasn't much of a chance either way.
How do you mean?
Well, the girl, TB on one side, maybe murder on the other.
Yeah.
Either way, she had to die.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 9th, a meeting was held in the office of Captain of Homicide, Police Department, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, we've spent about 2 of the past 30 minutes telling you why so many smokers coast to coast have switched to king-size Fatima. And they really have. Just listen to some of these brand-new sales figures. I'll give you a few of them state by state, alphabetically, just as they're listed here. Fatima sales up 92%, up 72%, up 107%, up 192%, up 69%. And so it goes, up and up. Thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. And there's a reason. Fatimas cost no more than the cigarettes you're now smoking. They filter the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes. Yet there's a big difference. Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Buy them tomorrow in the golden yellow package. Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes.
After locating Mrs. Bernice Butler in the tubercular ward in San Francisco County Hospital, final disposition was made of her case. Her late husband, James Butler, was cleared of any connection with her disappearance. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Broadcasting Company brings to its entire network one of radio's most unusual programs. Pat Novak For Hire.
Sure. I'm Pat Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. You gotta put it in block letters, because down on the waterfront in San Francisco, there's a price tag on everything. You gotta do that or marry a rich widow. I don't like to work that hard, so I rent boats and do anything else that's cash and carry. Oh, it's all right if you don't mind trouble, because that's one thing you can't duck. It's like trying to dance the minuet in skis. And the best trouble always looks good from the outside. You're all smiles and feel like a kid opening a hand grenade under the Christmas tree. I found that out Tuesday night. It was around 7 o'clock. I was getting ready to close the office when this little guy showed up. He was about the size of a golf bag with arms. And if he had a cigar box, he could see over a pool table. He walked up to the desk and started talking in a voice that made you think he was trying to put Lily Pons out of work.
Hello, you Novak?
You're doing all right so far. What's on your mind?
I'm Jackie Gregg. You heard of me, huh?
You're the shy type, I know.
I'm Jackie Gregg, the jockey. You heard of me, huh?
All right, now I heard of you. Put the show on the road.
I'm looking for a horse. You want to find me a horse?
Yeah, I breed him in the back room. What color do you want?
You're so tough I gotta take that from you?
Calm down before you wind up in a boys' choir. If you got anything to sell, put it on the line or beat it.
I'm riding a horse tomorrow called Fleet Lady. She's disappeared.
She's not here.
I'm supposed to ride the 6th race with her tomorrow at the Bonanza Handicap, and she's gone.
All right, she's gone. Maybe your horse likes to go out at night. I haven't seen her. Get to the point.
I'll give you $200 to find that horse. Somebody took her in a van. I trailed her down here at the waterfront.
But you lost him up at the ferry building.
That's right. Something funny's going on. My mount disappeared, and you gotta find her.
This is a big waterfront, and where's the $200?
You'll get that all right. Down by Pier 19. The van turned in. Think you can find Fleet Lady?
I don't know. Who owns her?
Woman named Sybil Thornton. She's mixed up, I think.
Yeah. Why steal your own horse?
I don't know. Run a ringer, maybe.
That's a tough trick.
This woman's got some good ones. You want the $200?
Yeah. How are the odds?
What's the difference? You're going to open a book? You better take the $200 now.
Yeah, the dough will keep. You sound frightened, Junior.
And you sound nosy. Here's the $200. I want you to find the horse. You let me know at the Kingston Hotel, huh?
Sure.
And if you don't find anything around the waterfront, maybe you better try the track. Ask around there.
Yeah. By the way, how do you fit in? How come you got $200 interest in that horse?
Maybe I love horses. What do you care if maybe I love horses?
I don't. A guy like you's got to love something. Oh, yeah, it was a sweet proposition. A jockey in search of a horse. There was something phony about the whole thing. I had the $200, but I didn't feel good. It was like a guy stealing a murder gun to help out on a scrap metal drive. Well, after the little guy left, I closed the office and started to hit the docks, but it didn't work out. You know, you can buy good whiskey these days, so you feel funny walking up to some guy on the pier and asking, "Have you seen a racehorse around here, mister?" By 9, I was sure the horse wasn't around, so I borrowed a car and drove out to the track. I found out where Sybil Thornton's horses were quartered and headed down that way. It was pretty dark, so when I bumped into her, all I got was a vague outline. She had a good-looking vague outline.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I'm full of regrets, too. Shall we try it again?
But you're a little mixed up in your animals. They keep horses here.
You don't seem to mind.
No, you lean nicely, but you'd probably feel safer with a platform.
Yeah. Well, we try this again when I've had 3 good meals. That's a horse.
Yes, I know. In fact, I own her.
I see. That'd make you Sybil Thornton.
Yes, what would it make you?
A guy named Pat Novak looking for your horse. I was hired on the waterfront to find her.
My, they grow big on the waterfront. You must get a lot of sun. By the way, is Fleet Lady missing?
Your jockey says she is. That's why I'm snooping around.
Didn't know he had any friends.
She's got a checkbook. How about Fleet Lady? Is she tucked in bed?
Yes.
Well, let's take a look, huh?
Find it very dull, Mr. Novak.
Yeah, that's what they said to Anthony. Let's see the horse.
Suit yourself. She's down this way.
Okay.
I'm doing this out of the bigness of my heart. I think you're wasting my generosity, Mr. Novak.
I don't use it all this trip.
It's from the stable. Come on. Down about here. Fleet Lady's stall. Here. The flashlight on the wall.
All right.
Oh, poor thing.
Do horses die broke, too? Who is it? Fleet Lady?
Yes. Are you satisfied?
No, I'm going to ring up headquarters.
You crazy.
Then I'm going to call Jackie Gregg and tell him his hunch paid off.
I wouldn't do that, Mr. Novak.
Stop kidding me, sweetheart. She didn't get killed in the fight with another horse. Gregg figured somebody was tilting the machine. That's why Fleet Lady's dead. That's why I'm going to call headquarters.
Suit yourself, but remember what happened to Fleet Lady.
Are you getting tough, Angel?
No.
You just wouldn't look good with a saddle, Mr. Novak.
Well, I watched her as she turned and walked out of there. It was the kind of a walk that makes you flip the calendar and find out how far away spring is. I looked around a while, but it didn't do any good. The place was full of doors, so whoever killed Fleet Lady got out easy, like a rumor at a church picnic. I closed the door and went down the line to call headquarters. As I stood in there talking, I saw Sybil Thornton drive away. It was a long convertible with red asbestos seat covers. After I called headquarters, I went back and waited near the stable. About a half hour later, a police car pulled up, and when I saw who got out, I began to get unhappy like a three-legged man in a ballet school. It was Hellman from Homicide, and he had a squad with him.
All right, I'll talk to him. Hello, Novak. Where's your trainer?
Your boys get paid to laugh at you, Hellman. I don't.
Yeah, where's the horse?
What are you doing on the case?
I came for the ride. You mind, Novak?
No, I just wondered if they wised up downtown.
Yeah?
Because you could find a dead horse, Hellman. If they staked it out in the middle of Market Street, you'd find it before long.
I'll try this time. Where is it?
Stall 18 over there.
Keep an eye on him, boys. I'll be back in a minute. In here, Novak?
Yeah, the one with the teeth like yours.
You better shut up, Novak.
Don't get jumpy. You haven't seen the horse.
Just shut up, huh?
It wasn't going to be much of a conversation anyway.
What color horse was that, Novak?
What do you mean? Take a look at it.
Yeah, I did. I just took a look. It's a smart horse, Novak.
What?
That's right. That dead horse in there is wearing a double-breasted suit.
Hellman got the message straight. I walked in and took a look. Jackie Gregg was lying there on the floor as dead as last year's love. The sickness didn't show until we rolled him over on his stomach. Somebody had gone duck hunting in the middle of his back. I began to feel a little sick myself, and I was ready to send up for the same gun when Hellman started to talk.
You forgot to mention the guy when you phoned headquarters.
He wasn't there. I was in here before, and the guy wasn't around.
What was he doing under the horse?
I don't know. Hellman, maybe he crawled out of a crack. I don't know. There were 2 shots. I came in and found the horse.
Yeah?
Check the horse.
You're trying to tell me the horse shot back? Who is he?
A guy by the name of Jackie Gregg. He gave me $200 to find a missing horse.
Yeah?
A horse called Fleet Lady running in tomorrow's handicap. This is the end of the line.
How do you know it's the same one?
I don't. Maybe you got to be a horse to tell. Why don't you ask one of your boys? Yeah, your boy's real tough. Call him off, Hellman.
He's nasty. We all hate him, Novak.
It's all right. I'll put it on your bill, Hellman.
That's good. You can write it up at headquarters.
Hellman, you ought to rent an idiot. The heavy thinking's too much for you.
I can piece this together. We come out here and find a dead man with you kicking up dust 40 feet away.
Look, Hellman, I didn't kill the guy and call up headquarters. I know they're bad in homicide, but I'm not that big-hearted.
We got a spare hook for you, Novak. That's where you stay until somebody gets you off.
And you can start out with Sybil Thornton.
Another horse?
She's got the speed for it. Look her up. She owns Fleet Lady, and she was dashing around in the dark here playing easy to get.
I'll look her up.
You better leave the boys behind, after all. She's only a woman. When you see her, ask her about that van down on the waterfront and what she was doing before I made that phone call.
I'll tag all the bases. Don't worry, Junior. And if things fit together, you'll both be in the jug. I'll see you later. I got work to do.
Yeah, it's getting late. You better put the boys back in the cave. I began to worry after Hellman left. There was no murder gun, and he didn't have too much to go on, but there was no one else wanted my job. Oh, I knew the girl was going to have an alibi. I was the last guy that Jackie Gregg had seen. I had about as much chance as a fat girl at a Princeton prom. Hellman didn't like me, and he was a smart cop with a disposition like a ton of rhubarb. Well, I had to start right from scratch. I felt like Adam the first morning he woke up. So I looked up a guy named Jocko Madigan, an ex-doctor and a boozer who will give you a lift if you show him where the stirrups are. Well, he's a good guy, but he thinks all food makes a gurgle. I hit all the bars and finally found him up at Maggie Nielsen's apartment. She's a good-looking voice that lives up on the hill, and Jocko was working his way into her liquor supply.
Hello, Patsy. You're just in time to join me for my first drink of the evening, or one of my first, at least.
Yeah, I see.
Maggie's not here, but I found her whiskey. It was in plain sight, locked in the closet under some newspapers.
All right, Jocko, when are you going to sober up?
Oh, I plan to do it briefly on April 1st, when the rest of the world plays the fool also.
Look, I'm in trouble, Jocko. You got to help me.
Good. I've a special bottle I use to forget your troubles.
Now, look, stop caressing that jug and listen to me. I'm in a jam.
Patsy, there's nothing in nature so sad as a half-empty bottle. It's like a broken vow or an unfulfilled promise in the skies. A falling star, almost.
All right, Jocko.
A falling star, and you shrug it off, never realizing that a whole world is ended at that moment.
Yeah.
100 million dreams, maybe, and you watch it fall and make an asinine wish. That's all the good it does a star to fall. It gives some kid a chance to wish for a bicycle.
You all finished now, Jocko?
Yes. What kind of trouble? Anything I could aggravate?
I'm mixed up out at the track. A guy by the name of Jackie Gregg is dead, and I don't look good.
Oh, Hellman?
Yeah. The guy's a jockey, and he hired me to find a horse named Fleet Lady.
Did you?
The horse and the jockey ran a dead heat, but there's something funny about the whole deal.
Did you talk to the jockey?
No, not enough.
Oh, Patsy, you've got to break yourself of the habit of waiting until people are dead before you think of a question.
Jocko, I want you to hit all the horse rooms. Find out what you can about the 6th race tomorrow. It's the Bonanza Handicap. Now, hurry up, will you?
If it's the 6th race, why can't we wait a while?
Start now. Get everything you can and call me. I'll leave a message at your place.
Where are you going?
I don't know. Maybe up to see the girl.
Oh, Patsy, you're going to be waving at the hangman's wife when they spring the trap door.
I gotta see her. She owns Fleet Lady.
Well, why don't I see her?
She's got a stake somewhere, and I got a lot of questions. What could you do up there?
Ah, yes. If it weren't an academic question, I'd argue the point.
Oh, it looked like a bum deal right from the start.
Patsy, you have the instinct for recognizing trouble, but not the intelligence to duck it.
Save your breath, will you?
You're like a man walking under a scaffold on a building. You realize it may crash down and kill you, but instead of hugging the building where you can't get hurt, like every other dope, you scurry for the edge of the sidewalk where you're bound to get hit if it falls.
Jocko, will you get out to those horse parlors? I need facts, not fables. Now, give me a hand.
All right. Give my love to Fleet Lady.
Her name's Sybil Thornton.
I'll bet I'm not far wrong. Good night, lover.
After I left Jocko, I went to the Chronicle morgue and looked up the NBC program director, Paul Stangl. We pulled out the clips on Sybil Thornton. They were nice and fat because she'd been to Reno 4 times and hadn't broke training for years. She'd been traded around more than a Red Sox pitcher. The clipping said she was 32. Well, there were a lot of pictures. And from her eyes, you got the idea she was around 35. But there were arguments the other way, too. Well, there weren't any stories on her for the last few months, just a few items from the columns. They all said the same thing. She was hitting the night spots with a gambler named Rudy Hauser. There were pictures of him, too. Now, he would look good in a cave with heavy curtains. I asked Paul. He said Hauser had a gambling place out on Geary, so I took a cab out there. For $10, the guy at the door said Sybil Thornton had left the place an hour ago. That made me feel good. When Hauser opened the door to his office, I lost the glow.
Yeah? What's with you?
I got a problem.
You got the wrong door.
Well, you can't get any tougher, so I'm coming in.
Suit yourself. I never throw anybody out until I'm sure they've lost all their money. What's on your mind?
A horse named Fleet Lady. She disappeared at 7 o'clock tonight.
You check under the rug, I'll try the cabin.
She got back just in time to greet somebody's gunslinger.
If I say no, will you go out and lose your money like a good boy?
Fleet Lady was owned by a gal named Sybil Thornton. The columns say you're number 5 on her list.
Well, they never lie. The whiskey's too good.
Also, a little bird says she was in your office an hour ago.
That's right. She said your name's Novak.
Yeah.
Next time you got a bombshell, give it a test run.
With Fleet Lady dead, your money's going to look real good in the 6 tomorrow.
Well, it makes you think the gal would throw a race.
For the same reason she goes out with you?
Huh?
When a gal takes a Great Dane like you out in public, it generally means the guy's a few bucks ahead of her.
You want to fight the team now, Novak? And just remember, sometimes you can't be right and a gentleman, too.
Yeah. I hope that's the way you feel when they pick you up for Jackie Gregg's murder.
Huh?
Oh, you do a real nice double take, mister. The jockey checked out with a horse.
I didn't know that, Novak.
Yeah, with no brains, you built this gambling club.
I didn't know he was dead. If I told you that, Novak, I meant it. It was all right for a little punk. I'm sorry he's dead.
So's he. I'll see you later, Hauser. I got to nose around and find out where you were tonight.
Yeah. You seem all right, Novak. So I'll tell you. If you got any dough left when you leave my tables, bet it on a horse named Fleet Lady in the 6th race tomorrow.
Do you always bet on a dead horse?
You got the tip. Use it or bury it, but don't loan it out.
Oh, the case was a regular grab bag when I walked out of Hauser's office. I began to tick off the things that didn't add up. First on the list was that van down on the waterfront. If it was Fleet Lady, who got shot in the stable?
If it was the ringer, that meant Fleet Lady would run tomorrow. Oh, I couldn't figure out why Hauser was so sure she'd win. An idea kept racing around the back of my mind like an ant in a cookie factory. Jackie Gregg lied about that van down on the waterfront, but why? Not to bail me out of the poorhouse with $200. Oh, I got part of the answer when I stopped with the pay telephone and called Hellman.
Yeah, Hellman talking.
This is Novak. I got some news.
You'll have to put it on the back page.
What do you got?
Your friend Jackie Gray had some love life.
Well, there's a chance for you, Hellman. Who's the girl, Sybil Thornton?
Yeah, we found her picture in his wallet, the gooey kind.
I bet you stole it for long train rides. What time did he die?
The right fit for you between 9 and 10 o'clock. 2 shots from a .32 caliber pistol.
How about the horse?
45 caliber.
2 people. It's getting involved.
Maybe, maybe not. You got 2 hands, Novak.
Look up a guy named Rudy Hauser. He's got a joint out on Geary Street.
I got enough friends. You look him up.
I did. He's still talking about Fleet Lady and tomorrow's race.
All right, maybe he's sentimental. Look, Novak, I'll pick out my own work. I don't need free help from you. Jackie Gregg paid $200, and look what he got.
Suit yourself, but Rudy Hauser and that gal are close friends.
Yeah?
Like 2-part harmony in a telephone booth. Get off the dime, Hellman. Hauser's got that gal in his hip pocket. She owns Fleet Lady, and he's betting her to win.
You're trying hard, Novak.
It's got to be a slow field to lose to a dead horse. Wake up, Hellman. You couldn't smell a rat in a basement full of cheese.
I did all right in your apartment.
Huh?
That .32 caliber pistol, we found it in your place. See you later.
Well, I wasn't too worried about that. Hellman's smart enough to know a phony plant. I began to think about that .32 caliber pistol. It's a woman's weapon. Well, that doesn't prove anything. So's a bread knife if she's in a bad mood. Must have been about midnight when I got to Sybil Thornton's place. She was wearing black lounging pajamas tied tight around a slim waist. She looked like a wasp with a nice sting, and she had company.
Come in, Mr. Novak.
Yeah?
Mr. Novak, this is Ronnie Stark.
Hello, Novak.
Yeah.
Well, he's not very friendly, Sybil.
He's just parting because they're going to arrest him for Jackie's murder.
How do you like Hellman?
You've known him longer.
Yeah. Somebody left the murder gun up at my place. Where you been all night?
Please, Mr. Novak, you're embarrassing Ronnie.
That's right. I'm blushing, and it's not the whiskey, Novak.
I see.
You must stay longer, Ronnie.
She's persuasive, huh, Novak? See you tomorrow.
You won't forget, Ronnie.
No, I won't forget. I'm betting on you, Novak.
What won't he forget?
Mr. Novak, I hope nobody ever asks you that question.
You don't want to talk about putting that gun in my apartment?
No.
Let's talk about Rudy Hauser, then. Your meat grinder friend. We just had a good talk, and he opened up a new road.
What'd you tell him?
Don't break a spring. He's all right.
Will you do me a favor, Patsy?
Like not talking to Hauser anymore?
That's right. Won't do you any good, Patsy. It'll do me a lot of good.
How's he going to know which horse got killed? I'll bet you lied to him, Angel.
It's my apple cart, Patsy. Leave it alone.
Sure. But play your hand right, baby. Because I'm going to watch your cards. And if you got one that says Jackie Gregg, I'm going to call you the hard way.
Patsy, you nice beast. I really think you would. Sit down.
Yeah.
A drink?
No,
Do you good.
not right now.
Well, you've read the book.
Just a couple of chapters.
I bet they're the right ones.
You better watch out, baby. I may be a long shot.
Well, you care as long as I bet.
I don't.
That's good. I didn't think you'd mind.
Aren't you beginning to crowd the beachhead?
Don't be a sissy, Patsy. You can't live forever.
All right, Angel. It's time to wire the folks.
Mr. Novak, just wait until you know me better.
That's for me. I left the number.
It's your fault, then.
Yeah.
Hello, Patsy.
What'd you find out, Jocko?
Not much. Nobody seems to care about the 6th race.
I care about it.
Oh, that's because you killed one of the jockeys. The rest of the people have a more casual interest.
How do the odds run?
Oh, no heavy favorites. Vin Air and Sleepy Time Gal figure to be the best at around 5 to 1.
What about Fleet Lady?
Down the line somewhere. I talked to one fellow. He says she's a dog and couldn't beat a paralytic goose over 100 yards.
Yeah, what else?
Well, that's all.
What do you mean, that's all? Start digging, Jocko. We're not getting any place.
Not even at your end?
Huh?
I counted on you to do better than that. Good night, lover.
On the way home, I bought the morning papers. There was no story on Jackie Gregg, no details, and
Most of the story was a statement by Hellman on Hellman. There was no mention of Fleet Lady, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, there was nothing I could do but roll into bed. I woke up about 9, called Jocko. It was like sending a message out to the Farallones by Indian Runner. He just muttered and said he'd meet me out at the track. Well, I had to have some more dope, so I called Ira Snow. He calls the races and bets on them. The way he does it, a horse is a real beast of burden. He was playing elf when I got him on the wire.
Yeah?
Ira, this is Novak. What do you know about the Bonanza handicap?
It's a horse race.
Oh, you're funny. What about the field? Are the horses any good?
For hamburgers, maybe. Nothing else.
How about Fleet Lady?
Eastern track. Nobody knows.
Would she be worth a heavy plunge?
Yeah, if you want to be a monk. What's this all about?
Ira, I'm in trouble. How about a fix? Could they run a ringer in on Fleet Lady?
Yeah, it's been done before, but it ain't easy.
That's what I figured. How's Rudy Hauser on horses?
He ain't. He got burned a long time ago. He never bets.
Well, I think you're wrong.
Look, Novak, I know every guy in town that's got the itch. Rudy Hauser, no.
You know a guy named Ronnie Stark?
Sure, he runs a book. Why?
Nothing. May see you at the track. I'm going to make a bet.
Yeah, I'll tell the horses.
Well, that left me in a hole. If Ira was right, Rudy Hauser on Fleet Lady didn't make a bit of sense. I got out to the track about 2:30. Jocko was there, and Hellman was wandering around up in the grandstand where they couldn't push him into a starting gate. Sybil Thornton waved from her box as I walked by to get a better shot at the starting line for the 6th. They were almost at the post when Jocko came back from the betting window.
Well, Patsy, I bet $2 on a horse called Scotch Victory. It seemed like a good omen.
Yeah.
I saw your friend Rudy Hauser at the window.
Huh?
He was pouring money down on the favorites to win.
Well, that's why the odds are going down on Vin Air and Sleepy Time Gal. Look at that board, will you?
Yeah, Fleet Lady's gone all the way up to 12-1.
Yeah, from 8-1, all the way up.
Maybe the word got around she's dead.
No, that's the funny part. She's down there. See, number 3 on the rail. Not a peep out of anybody.
Is going to the front by 1 length. Sleepy Time Gal by a head. Fleet Lady between horses is running third by 1 length. On the outside, it's Vin Air and Old Soldier. Going into the clubhouse turn, it's Hot Weather by 2 lengths. Sleepy Time Gal by a half length. Fleet Lady is moving up on the outside. It's Vin Air fourth by 1 length. And Old Soldier. Down the back stretch, it's Hot Weather by 2 lengths. Fleet Lady moving up on the outside is now second by 1 length.
She runs well for a ghost.
Yeah.
Rudy Hauser'd better hurry up or he won't see much.
What?
He better hurry. He left the track 10 minutes ago.
Huh? Are you sure, Jocko?
Yes, I heard him tell someone he had to make a phone call just before the betting closed.
Well, Jocko, you're a sweetheart.
Oh, I like to think
Come on, let's go to that stable.
The race isn't over.
It was over 5 minutes ago.
Well, how about my $2?
Come on, will you? There's only one person who will try to fix a horse race. That's a horse. Well, I knew there was going to be trouble fast. The horses were just coming under the wire when I waved to Hellman and started for the stable. When we got there, Sybil Thornton was clearing out like a fire sale.
I'm in a hurry, Patsy, darling. Let me by.
Now, you made a bad play, Angel. Stick around.
Let me by, Patsy.
You heard him, lady. Stick around.
Thanks, copper. I'll take charge.
That's a big gun, Hauser.
I got a big beef. You let me drop $100 grand, Sybil.
It's your idea, Rudy.
Not this way. You let me drop $100 grand because you ran Fleet Lady.
The program said Fleet Lady, and that's who ran.
I brought those odds into line at the window. My other Eddie looked bad on Fleet Lady. You didn't stay to watch her trail the field.
All right, I didn't stay. You lost your $100 grand. You killed the ringer. You were a smart big shot who was going to sew up the race.
You ran Fleet Lady and cost me $100 grand. All right, cop, I'll move away from it. Over this way, Sybil.
No. Don't let him do it, Patsy.
I want to see how tough you are.
Come on, Sybil. Let's you and me move against the stall.
Watch out, Hauser.
You're backing into the horse. Grab the horse, Novak. He's going to trample him.
You grab him. It's your idea.
Is he dead?
Yeah. You should have learned the first time you can't beat the horses.
That's a bum joke, Novak.
I guess it is.
Now that we're all here, who do we book for Jackie Gregg's murder?
I'll answer that, friend.
Who's this guy?
It's one you missed, Hellman. Hello, Stark.
I know, Novak. Well, What are you waiting for, Sybil? Tell the man you killed Jackie Gregg.
Had enough trouble today, Ronnie.
Now, you got more coming. Well, you figured it out yet, Novak?
Hauser dumped his $80,000 on you.
That's right. It's a lot of spending money.
Wait a minute. Ronnie, I don't like this.
Oh, you'll get your half, baby. I'm going to write out an IOU. When they book you for murder and the vote's in, you can't use it.
Wouldn't do a thing like that, Ronnie.
A dead girl can't spend $40,000. She killed your guy, Copper, and tried to palm it off on Novak. I was there, so I'll testify.
Ronnie, you're a no good guy.
Ah, don't be silly. I love justice. A book her for murder, Copper. I want to tear up that IOU.
Well, Hellman finally worked it out. Started out as a fixed race, and when they were all through, it was up to the horse. Rudy Hauser put the squeeze on Sybil for some dough. She offered to run a fast ringer in place of Fleet Lady, so Hauser could pick up a bag full. Rudy just wanted to make sure, so he sent one of his boys around to knock off Fleet Lady. Only the guy killed the ringer instead. Well, that was a break for Sybil. She made a deal with a bookie named Ronnie Stark to take all of Hauser's bets and guarantee him that Fleet Lady couldn't win because she wasn't that good a horse. It panned out that way. She let Hauser think Fleet Lady was dead. He spent the $20,000 at the window pushing up the odds on Fleet Lady and dumped another $80 on her to win. The moving van? Well, that was a phony story Gregg used to get me to scare Sybil. He wanted in on the deal. He went back to the stable that night, got in a beef, and she killed him. She had him out in her car. When I went to make that phone call, she figured it was a good way to pass the buck. Well, Hellman asked only one question. Why would a nice, tame horse go crazy and trample a guy to death? Jocko had the answer. The horse that killed Hauser was a filly.
Broadcasting Company has just brought you the fourth of a new series, Pat Novak For Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is produced and directed by William P. Rousseau. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted by Basil Adlam. In our cast were Virginia Gregg, Tal Avery, Stacey Harris, Hugh Thomas, and Carlisle Bibbers. This program is being released to our servicemen and women overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Be with us again next week when over most of these same ABC stations we will bring you Pat Novak For Hire. This program came to you from Hollywood. Now, a listening reminder. Tonight, don't miss Jane Wyman when she guest stars and explains how she created her unforgettable role as the deaf mute in Johnny Belinda. Hear Jane Wyman tonight on this ABC station. This is ABC, the National Broadcasting Company.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Juvenile Bureau. A series of crimes suddenly starts among teenage children in your city. Robberies, burglaries, bodily assault. There doesn't seem to be any reason for it. The crime wave grows. Your job? Stop it. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
That's right. Fatimas are different.
They're extra mild.
Yet king-size Fatima costs no more than the cigarette you're now smoking.
And because of its quality, more smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos, superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
So compare Fatima yourself today. You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Remember, the cost of Fatima is the same as the cigarette you're now smoking.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Next time, buy Fatima. Best of all king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, April 10th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of Juvenile Bureau. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Stein. My name's Friday. It was 10:27 p.m. when I got to 1335 Georgia Street, second floor, the squad room.
Joe, that you?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, half a minute.
All right.
Get my coat on here.
Did you leave a note for McNamara?
Yeah, all set.
All right, let's hurry, huh?
Yeah. Same neighborhood we had the trouble Monday night?
Uh-huh. Sounds like the same gang, too.
These kids are sure moving fast.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What is it this time?
Movie theater on West Fremont, small neighborhood house.
Oh,
They had a crowd of 15 to 20 kids in there tonight. Mixed group, boys and girls. For no reason at all, they started to tear the place up.
They do much damage?
Well, I don't know. We can see when we get there. He told me on the phone the theater manager tried to quiet the kids down. Half a dozen boys piled all over him. One of them pulled a knife. They tore up a couple of seats up in the balcony, moved out into the lobby, smashed mirrors and lamps. They beat up one of the ushers.
Lousy little punks.
Where'd you park the car?
Straight back. I'd give a right arm to know how this thing got started. We've never had much trouble from the kids in that neighborhood out there, not till this last month. Seem to be going crazy.
Well, it's not getting any better. Burglaries, car thefts, wrecking property.
Somebody's going to come out on the short end if it keeps up. It's got to happen.
Maybe it already has. When they were ripping up that theater lobby tonight, one kid got hurt.
What happened?
It's a 14-year-old boy. In the mix-up, he got shoved through a display case, plate glass.
Cut up pretty bad?
His eyes. They're not sure he'll see again. In police work, the standard law of cause and effect works like it does for everything else. When a crime's committed, there's a cause behind it. There's a reason for it. And when a group of normally well-behaved kids in an average residential neighborhood start running wild, there's got to be a reason for that, too. A month before, a rash of auto thefts, petty stealing, and public disturbances had broken out suddenly in the particular neighborhood. All of the incidents were traced directly to the teenagers in the area. Why the kids had suddenly decided to run wild, we didn't know, but the amount and the nature of the violations kept getting more serious. Juveniles who'd previously been picked up for petty thefts and placed on probation were now committing burglaries. Auto thefts in the area had jumped 20%. Misconduct and drunk charges against the teenagers, girls and boys alike, increased by the week. We had a fair idea what the root of all the trouble was, but so far we hadn't been able to trace it. 10:45 p.m. We got to the neighborhood movie theater on West Fremont and we went inside. The lobby was a shambles. 2 large mirrors had been shattered, lamps and sofas overturned and broken. The lobby candy counter had been wrecked completely. The glass showcases were caved in. The popcorn machine was smashed. The soft drink cooler turned on its side. The last showing of the feature picture was still going on. We interviewed the theater manager in the lobby, a Mr. Clyde Barton.
They got real foul-mouthed. 1 or 2 of the girls, too. Some of the language I wouldn't even use at a stag party. I got so mad I grabbed 2 of the noisy ones by the neck and told them to get out. That's when it broke loose.
Well, what exactly happened?
The whole crowd of them jumped out of their seats and piled on me. I fell back down against the stairs and I started swinging. I'll tell you the truth, Sergeant, I was scared. I didn't know what to make of them. They seemed like a pack of animals, wild. I happened to hit this one kid and I saw him pull out a knife and come at me. Didn't take me too long to get out of there. Kids or not, when a bunch of them like that come after you, you run.
Yes, sir. You called for the police as soon as all this happened?
You bet I did. Just as soon as I could get out into the lobby and into my office. I locked the door. I could hear them tearing the place up outside. Just look at that. smashed up, everything in sight. I have to have something like this happen. Look at this candy stand.
Awesome. Well, how about some of the kids you recognized in that crowd, Miss Barton?
Oh, say, the last show's ready to break. Folks are going to be coming out. You want to step back here into my office? We can talk there. Be out of the way.
That'll be fine,
son.
Here we are. Pull up a chair for yourself, officer.
Yeah, thank you.
I just got the feeling there's something radically wrong going on with those kids.
This is the first time you've ever had any trouble of any real size, is that right?
Yeah. Well, once in a while the kids fool around in the show talking loud, you know, but nothing like this. Oh, see, Fred, my usher, and the way they messed him up. Brutal. And that little 14-year-old they shoved through the glass showcase. Going to be a real mess if he doesn't pull through.
I was going to ask you, sir, about the kids in that crowd you recognized. You happen to know any of their names?
Sure thing. I made a list of them while you were on the way over here. I got a half dozen of them or more. That's another thing I can't understand.
Yeah, what's that, sir?
When these kids start running wild, no matter what they do, they don't seem to care if they're recognized or not. You'd think if they wanted to raise the devil, they'd go over to some other neighborhood, someplace where people didn't know them. They just don't seem to care.
Yes, sir. We've had the same report from a couple of other business people in the neighborhood here. Mr. Barton, you probably have a pretty fair opportunity to watch the kids around here from time to time. I mean, running the theater here and everything.
I sure do. Most of them are in here once a week anyway. Some of the kids I've known since they were in knee pants.
Well, have you any idea at all what's behind all this trouble? I mean, any real indication?
Maybe I'm just the suspicious kind, but I've got an idea, all right. Here, I'll get that list of names for you at the same time. There they are. 7 names in all. Every one of those kids was in that gang tonight. I can give you a hand tracking down their addresses.
Oh, thank you.
Something else. Here's what I was talking about.
What's this, sir?
In that scramble in the lobby tonight, this little box fell out of one of the kids' pockets. One of the ushers picked it up, brought it into me. Have a look inside.
Ben?
I don't know too much about it, Sergeant, but I got a hunch. I don't think I made a mistake.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, sir, no mistake. It's marijuana. We finished interviewing the theater manager, Clyde Barton, and then we talked to the usher, Donald Masters, who recovered the small box containing the marijuana from the floor of the lobby. He told us he recognized the young fellow who dropped the box, but he wasn't sure. He said the boy's name was Harold Everson, one of the names which appeared on the list which the theater manager, Mr. Barton, had given us. Half an hour later, Ben and I located the Everson boy's home. It was a 2-story frame colonial-style house in the better-than-average section of the area. The boy's father answered the door, a Harold Everson Sr. We told him what we wanted.
A little late to be making routine calls, don't you think? People have to get their sleep. Why can't you let it wait until morning?
It's not a routine call, Mr. Everson. I'd like to see your son, if he's home.
Harry? What do you have to see him about?
Well, do you have any idea where your boy spent his time tonight, sir?
He said he was going down to the gym, play a little basketball, and he was going to the library. It's a school night. He had studying to do.
I think maybe you ought to keep a little closer check on your son, sir. That's not the way we get it.
What are you getting at? I trust my boy. He said he was going to the gym and then to the library. He's got no reason to lie about it.
They had a minor riot at the neighborhood movie down on West Fremont tonight. Gang of high school kids ran wild and wrecked the place.
What's that got to do with Harry?
A couple of people recognized him among the gang of kids. They said he did his share of wrecking along with the rest of them.
Couldn't be. It's a lie. Harry didn't go to the show tonight. He told me when he got home. He even had his books with him. He spent the night at the library.
I'd like to have you take a look at this, Mr. Everson.
Huh?
This box here. Would you recognize this at all?
Yeah. Same kind of box my stomach pills come in. Got a little acid condition in my stomach. I take these pills for it. What's all this have to do with Harry?
I'm going to open the box for you, Mr. Everson.
I don't get it. What is this stuff?
Someone saw your son drop the box in the lobby of the theater tonight. The box contains marijuana.
It's stupid. It couldn't be right. I haven't got that kind of a boy. I know it isn't right.
Do you mind if we talk to your son? Maybe he can explain it for us.
Just a minute. I'll get him down here.
All right, sir.
Have a chair if you like.
Thank you.
Sure a nice place, huh, Joe?
Yeah, beautiful furniture, isn't it?
There's nothing like period furniture. Never goes out of date. Be just as much in style 10 years from now as it is today.
Mm-hmm. We better be sure and tag by Georgia Street Hospital on the way back and see how that kid's doing. You know, the one that was hurt at the show.
Oh, yeah.
This is my boy, Harry, officers.
Oh, Harry?
How are you, sir?
Harry just told me, officers, he doesn't know what this is all about. He was at the library, like I said.
Well, sure, I was there till they closed. Somebody made a mistake. I wasn't at the show tonight.
Harry, do you know Mr. Barton, the man who runs the theater?
Yeah, I know him. Why?
Well, he swears you were there tonight. So does one of the ushers.
Who?
Boy by the name of Donald Masters. He says he knows you pretty well.
I don't know any Donald Masters.
You go to the same high school together, son. You're in the same class.
I told you I don't know any Donald Masters.
What about this, Harry?
Huh?
This box here. Do you recognize this?
No.
What's the matter, son?
What is it, Harry? What's wrong with you?
Nothing. I don't know whose it is. It's not mine.
It was lost in the lobby of the theater tonight. Masters says he saw you drop it.
He's lying. I hate the kid's guts anyway. He's lying.
Thought you said you didn't know him, son.
What's wrong with you? What are you shaking for? What kind of a story are you trying to tell?
I didn't mean it, Dad. The kid got the stuff for me. I didn't mean to get it. I didn't mean to, Dad.
It's beginning to look like I'm the dummy of the family. Huh?
Take it easy, Mr. Everson.
Harry, you're a liar.
The kid got the stuff for me. That is the truth. I didn't buy it.
You want him downtown, officer?
Afraid so, Mr. Everson. Like to have you come down with him.
Get your clothes on. Go back to your room and get your clothes on.
Okay, Dad.
Hard to believe. My son using marijuana. I can't tell you how I feel.
I'm afraid there's going to be more folks feeling the same way before this is cleaned up.
It'd be different if Harry didn't have a chance, but good home, good training. The boys had the best I could give him.
Yes, sir.
Wife and I, we never thought we had a worry in the world as far as Harry was concerned.
Yes, sir. Maybe that's why it happened. Before we left the Everson house, we checked the boy's room and came up with another small box full of marijuana, which he'd hidden back in his closet. Besides Everson and his son, Harry, more than a half a dozen other teenagers who'd had a part in the theater brawl were rounded up and taken downtown along with their fathers for interrogation. By the time we finished our questioning and the teenagers had finished talking, we had most of the story pieced together. A story that had the parents so amazed that half of them thought the youngsters were making it up. The pattern was familiar enough for us to know that they were telling the truth. Almost 2 months before, word had gone around among the teenagers in the neighborhood that marijuana, along with various stimulating drugs, was to be had easily and in quantity for anybody who wanted them. Word was passed around that it was the new thing to do, the smart thing to do if you wanted to keep up with the crowd. In questioning the Everson boy, we found that he seemed to know more about the history and operations of the narcotics campaign in the neighborhood than the other boys did.
I know one of the guys who first showed up with the stuff. Name's Johnny Demring. He's about my age, 17. I used to know him pretty well.
How do you mean he was the first to show up with the stuff, Harry? What kind of stuff?
Marijuana. Some of the other things, you know, yellow jackets, goofballs. More of the kids go for them than they do for marijuana.
Well, do the youngsters know what these goofballs are made of, son? Do they know what they are?
Well, it's dope, I guess. Narcotics. The kids get a big kick out of them. I guess that's all they care.
Mm-hmm. This Johnny Demring, does he sell the stuff around the neighborhood, Harry?
Yeah, he was the first one. He's got a couple of other kids selling for him now. A couple of them are girls. They sell a lot for him. Johnny makes pretty good money.
Yeah, I guess he does. Where does he get the stuff from, do you know?
No, I wouldn't know that. Someplace downtown. Johnny knows a guy. He's never told anybody where he goes to meet the guy. Nobody ever goes with him.
Was Johnny at the show with you tonight?
No, he doesn't hang around with the kids much anymore. He's getting a little big time, I think. He's got his own car and a good-looking girlfriend downtown. Says he's going to quit school next month.
Mm-hmm. Where does Johnny live, son? Can you tell us?
I don't know the address right off. I can check it in the phone book for you.
How about the kids Johnny gets to sell the stuff? Can you give us their names?
Yeah, okay. I think I can remember who they are. You going to bring Johnny in and talk to him?
That's the idea, yeah.
I don't know if you're going to find him right away. He probably heard about the trouble tonight, and Johnny's a pretty smart guy. I don't think you'll find him very easy.
I think we'll find him.
Nobody knows much about him. He never talks about what he's doing. Never tells anybody anything. Pretty smart guy.
He told you. How smart was that? Complete statements were taken from each of the youngsters we brought in for questioning, and then in practically all cases they were released into the custody of their parents pending action by the juvenile court. With the information we had at hand, it took us the better part of 4 days to round up everybody involved in the narcotics distribution system which had been set up among the teenagers in the neighborhood by 17-year-old Johnny Demring. As for the Demring boy himself, he couldn't be found. We checked with his family, his relatives, his friends, all his known associates. We got out a warrant for him. Then we checked the car that he owned through DMV. We got out a warrant for that. No sign of the boy. Narcotics detail gave us a hand and got their informants busy trying to track down the source of the dope for which the Demring boy had been the only neighborhood distributor. We knew it went far beyond him. It reached to the same vicious men who make their money off the hopeless adult drug addict. the same vicious men who today are trying to build a new market for their wares among the young people of this country. Tuesday, April 29th, 2:30 p.m.
Again?
Right.
Juvenile Bureau, Romero. Oh, yeah, Brady. Yeah, huh? That's right. What's his name? Yeah, okay, right away. Right, bye. It's Brady from Narcotics. They figure they got our man.
The Demring boy?
No, the guy who pushed the stuff to Demring.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Jocko Harris. They found him in the county hospital this morning.
Yeah.
Somebody got a hold of him 2 nights ago and gave him a good working over. If we're lucky, we'll make it.
What do you mean?
He's not supposed to last out the day.
2:35 p.m. Ben and I left the office and went immediately to the county hospital where we were allowed to briefly interview the narcotics suspect, Jocko Harris. He was in a critical condition with a fracture of the skull. He gave us a statement in the form of a dying declaration. He admitted being the contact man for 17-year-old Johnny Demring, and he admitted also that he had kept the boy supplied with enough narcotics to keep the neighborhood teenage demand for the stuff fully satisfied.
Seemed like a good kid. Never thought he'd turn.
What do you mean, Jocko? How'd he turn?
Why do you think I'm here?
You mean he's the one who worked you over?
Yeah.
Where is he, Jocko? Do you know?
No.
Do you know where he's staying? Do you have any idea at all?
No. Stole all my stuff. Every ounce.
What was it, heroin?
Yeah. Listen.
Yeah?
Get him. Fast. He's got enough junk to start a war.
You're in a cruiser car of a Metropolitan Police Department. You receive a routine radio call.
All units, attention all units. Pick up and hold for investigation the following vehicle. 1948 Ford, 2-door sedan, black white sidewall tires.
There are many cars that fit this description. You listen for more facts.
This car will have extensive damage to right front end. License number 9 Robert 9 707. In the 7 column, 9 Robert 9 707. KMA 367.
Now you can pin it down to one. It's the same with cigarettes. There are many king-size brands to choose from, but when you know all the facts, you'll make your choice Fatima.
Here are those facts. Fatimas are the same in length and circumference as any other king-size cigarette. 85 millimeters long, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking. Next time, buy Fatima.
Wednesday, April 30th, 9 a.m. The hunt for 17-year-old Johnny Demring was intensified. To our knowledge, because of the information we'd gained from narcotics peddler Jocko Harris, the teenage youngster had a large store of high-grade heroin, which we knew, because of his inexperience, he was unaccustomed to dealing with. In his hands, the narcotics immediately became a lethal weapon. We knew that Johnny Demring had only one market to deal in, only one type of customer he was acquainted with, the teenager. In previous transactions, we knew that the youngsters received only a low-grade type of narcotic, highly diluted. We knew that if Demring succeeded in dispensing the highly concentrated store that he had on hand, and the juvenile customers he served tried it on themselves, it would very likely result in death. 3 p.m. Wednesday. Despite all our efforts, Johnny Demring and the store of high-grade narcotics which he'd hijacked from Jocko Harris were still missing. Wednesday, 12 noon. We began rechecking every one of the possible sources that might lead us to the suspect. One of them was the boy's mother, Mrs. Frances Demring. We talked to her at work. She was employed as a multigraph operator in the mailing department of a large downtown department store.
Not since the last time you talked to me, Sergeant. I haven't heard a word from my boy. Nothing at all. Have you heard anything?
Well, yes, ma'am, in a way. We've got an idea he's still somewhere in the city. That's why we figured we'd come back and talk to you again.
Have you been in touch with your relatives in town recently, Miss Demring? I mean, those that Johnny might possibly contact?
Yes, there's just my sister and my mother.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess it just wasn't to be right from the start. Johnny's father ran away, you know. Tried my best after that. Never seemed to be enough. Suppose there's no getting away from it. A boy needs a father. You can try all you want. They still need a father, some kind of discipline.
Mm-hmm. How about the relatives you have out of town, Miss Demring? Any word from them at all about Johnny?
No, Sergeant, nothing. Would you excuse me, please? This run here's finished. I have to get it off the machine.
Sure, go right ahead.
Yes, terrible thing. Johnny getting mixed up in all this. Seems no matter how you try, it's never enough. Never enough.
Do you have any idea at all where Johnny would most likely go in town if he didn't want to be seen, Mrs. Demring?
Where'd he go? No, I wouldn't know that, Sergeant. First place, Johnny's never really been in trouble before.
Well, how about Johnny's school friends, ma'am? Would there be any one of them he might possibly contact in a jam?
None that I haven't told you about before, I don't think. Evelyn. She's the only one I suppose Johnny'd go to if he needed help, if he was in trouble.
That's his girlfriend at the high school, isn't it, Evelyn Maxwell?
Yes, that's right. Sweet girl.
How about a girlfriend Johnny was supposed to have downtown somewhere, Mrs. Demring? Would you know anything about her?
Nothing really, no. Her name was Betty, I think.
You have no idea where she lived downtown?
No, I don't, Sergeant.
Well, all right, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate it if you'd notify us if you hear anything about your son at all.
All right, Sergeant. Thank you. Tomorrow's Johnny's birthday, you know. I meant to tell you. Always expect Johnny home on his birthday. Seems no matter where he is, how he's tied up with his school or sports or something, Johnny always makes it home for his birthday.
I see.
I wonder how it'll be tomorrow. He's never missed once. Not once.
Well, if he shows up, I guess you can count on one thing, ma'am.
What's that?
He's going to have to miss next year. 2 p.m. Ben and I picked up a glass of milk and a hot dog for lunch, and then we continued making a check of Johnny Demring's closest friends. Next in line after his mother was Demring's high school girlfriend, Evelyn Maxford. We located her at her home, a tall, attractive brunette, nicely dressed and well-mannered. She seemed unusually nervous as we interviewed her.
I haven't heard a word, Sergeant. I know tomorrow's his birthday. His mother's expecting him home. I know he won't come, though. I'm sure of that.
How are you sure, miss?
Well, I just know that's all.
I'd like to ask you again.
Yes?
Are you sure you haven't heard from Johnny Demring recently in the past 2 days or so?
No, that's what I told you. Don't you believe me?
Do you know why we're so anxious to locate Johnny, Miss Maxwell?
Well, I think so. It's about the narcotics business. You say Johnny had a hand in it. He was selling those things to the kids. I still don't believe it myself.
It's a lot more than that, the way it stands now, Miss Maxwell.
What do you mean?
Well, when he was at school, Johnny was kept supplied with narcotics by a man named Jocko Harris. He's what we call a pusher, kind of an in-between supply man in the narcotics trade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 nights ago, Johnny caught up with this Harris. He beat him up badly enough to send him to the hospital with a fractured skull. And then Johnny stole every bit of narcotics that Harris had in his room, some of the strongest stuff you can buy on the market. That's why we want Johnny, Miss Maxford.
I don't think I understand. What does it mean?
It means that most of the teenage kids Johnny's been supplying stuff to have been getting fairly weak grades of narcotics. If he gets some of this stuff to them and the kids start taking it, it might prove too strong for them. If they take too much of it, it could kill them outright.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see what we're up against. We've got to find that boy. We've got to find him soon.
Couldn't you talk to his mother? Maybe she could tell you something.
Well, we already have, miss. She couldn't tell us anything. That's why we halfway depended on you.
Why do they have to put it in my lap? Why does it have to be me? I liked Johnny for a while. I don't know what to think now.
Well, have you heard from him, Miss Maxford? Now, there's no reason to be afraid. You'd probably feel a lot worse if something happened to one of the high school kids, wouldn't you? Miss Maxford?
I got a call from him yesterday. Johnny. He wouldn't tell me where he was. I asked him, but he wouldn't tell me.
What else did he say?
He knows everybody's looking for him. He doesn't know about the stuff that he stole, though. I'm sure of that. He doesn't know what it could do.
Did he make any dates with you? Did he want to see you?
Yes, he wants to see me. He wants me to meet him tonight.
Where?
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Yes? I don't know. I don't really. What? 7 o'clock, all right. Yes, I'll meet you then. All right, goodbye. That was Johnny just then. He wanted to make sure I was going to meet him tonight.
When?
7 o'clock tonight, right near Westlake Park.
Which side, miss?
The west side, Sergeant. I hope to God it's not true.
What's that?
The narcotics he stole from that man. You said they were powerful?
Yes, we did.
Johnny's been taking them for 2 days.
6:45 p.m. Together with 2 other men from Juvenile Bureau, Hurst and Ty, we drove near the appointed spot along the lake in Westlake Park where Evelyn Maxford's meeting with the teenage suspect Johnny Demring was to take place. We staked out at a reasonable distance, and Miss Maxford went ahead to the meeting spot. As far as we could see, there was no sign of Demring. Somebody on the opposite side of the lake was playing a phonograph. The music came over faintly across the water. We watched the Maxford girl cross the long stretch of grass down to the lake. She approached the shore. We saw her stop and look down.
Joe, let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
We ran all the way as fast as we could get there. When we got close enough, we found out the reason for the scream. He was lying face up on the ground near the edge of a small clump of trees close to the water. He was a good-looking boy, dark hair, good build. Took only one look, and you knew right away he was too young to be dead. You could argue for a week, but you wouldn't change it. He was dead. The girl stood over him, her face in her hands, crying.
No marks on the body, Joe. None at all.
Well, that must be it, huh? An overdose?
It's the way it looks to me. We better get her out of here, hadn't we?
Yeah. Miss Maxford? Come on, Miss Maxford.
Yes, Sergeant. It's all right. It's all right now.
We'll have one of the other men drive you home. We can take care of whatever has to be done here.
He was a good boy, Sergeant. He was smart. How'd he ever get started in such a thing? How could he ever make such a mistake?
Well, he's got the best excuse in the world, miss.
Yes.
He was 17.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On May 2nd, a coroner's inquest was held at the County Morgue, Hall of Justice, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that inquest.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, it makes us very happy to know that so many of you have switched to king-size Fatimas. Now, this actual sales report I have here shows that in state after state, more people are smoking Fatimas every day. In the first state, Fatima sales are up 97%. The next state sales up 114%. Still another state, 117%. And still another, 69%. Well, those are just a few. Now, in my opinion, that can mean only one thing. That thousands and thousands of smokers, coast to coast, agree with what we've been saying. Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. If you haven't smoked them yet, remember this. Fatimas cost no more than the cigarettes you've been smoking. Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. So tomorrow, buy Fatima.
At the inquest, the coroner's jury ruled that 17-year-old John Andrew Demering had administered himself an overdose of narcotics and thus had taken his own life. All others involved in the juvenile narcotics ring, a total of 8 persons, were tried and convicted under the State Narcotics Act. They received sentences as prescribed by law and are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next on NBC.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's transcribed story. She's lovely, she's engaged, she eats soybeans.
This one revolved around a beauty. The kind that drives some men mad, some to murder. Her name, last week, was Miss Fireworks on the 4th. But she didn't have to worry about catching on fire. Everything was insured. But there was somebody that didn't like her in a bathing suit, and a big guy that shot skeet and never missed. But once. I got a call from my boss, the Lion, last Wednesday morning before breakfast. Said he had to see me right away. When I got down to the detective bureau, the Lion was chewing slowly and holding a...
Picture, Jeffrey. A photograph, to be exact.
Chewing your cud, Lion?
Wheat kernels, Jeffrey. Sunny fruit of Mother Earth. I saved some for your breakfast.
Where's the marmalade?
Don't scoff, my boy. These golden grains of patented wheat.
Who's got a patent on wheat?
Steve Albright. And this isn't just any wheat. It's grown only in a sun-splashed acre of alluvial soil, watered by a gushing spring of... have a kernel, Jeffrey.
Thanks.
It's the new miracle health food, my boy. If you're heavy, it slims you. If you're lean, it builds you up. And you need only 10 kernels a day. Here, have another.
The picture, Fatso.
Yes, the picture. Well, look what the wheat has done for this girl, Jeffrey.
Wrong side up.
Huh? Oh, yes.
Ah, bathing beauty.
Yeah, professional, my boy. He travels around the country doing...
This.
Yes. But there's trouble afoot, Jeffrey. This lovely girl is in some sort of danger.
What kind?
That's your job, my boy. You must find out. I'll retain her of $150, says you do.
Who's Steve Albright?
Her manager. He left me these pictures of the girl, and when I asked how she managed to keep her figure...
He produced a sack of wheat and said, chew slowly.
Something like that.
What's the girl's name?
Name? I guess I forgot to ask.
You're right. Doesn't make any matter. Where do I find the Steve Albright?
Yeah, I have the address right here.
Oh, you're improving.
Here it is. Now, give me back my picture and get right out there. Mr. Albright said this girl is a very valuable property.
Some photographs lie, but these told the truth. About soft hair flowing down to the waist. A fluted figure, tight in a two-piece bathing suit. If you look real close for it. Now, who'd want to get a girl like this into trouble? But somebody did. It was afternoon before I could contact Albright. His office was in a small white stucco building back of the Sunset Strip. No elevators. The directory said Steve Albright, Massive Enterprises Incorporated, Suite 3. I found it. The door said enter. I entered.
Regan, excellent.
The office was one room, a desk, and...
Steve Albright is my name. Perfect. Glad you got here so soon. Excellent.
Glad to know you. Wonderful.
You're thinking this is a small office that Massive Enterprises is broke. I ask you to examine the books, Mr. Regan.
You've paid us.
Somewhere in this drawer. Oh, here they are. Excellent.
Where's the girl?
We'll come to her, fine.
Graham.
The books. You see? They go back to 1948. That's when I found her.
What do you call her?
Actual name, Jerry Shoulder. Marvelous. But no one knows her by that name. As you can see in the books, Mr. Regan, it's always something like Miss Gold Coast.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Chicago, $1,436.56.
2 days' work. Pictures, endorsements, radio shots.
Mm-hmm. Good money for 2 days' work.
Jerry was Miss Coal Tar Derivatives for the Duplan Manufacturing Empire.
$2,769.84.
In 3 days. Marvelous. Of course, the flower festivals and all have a bathing beauty contest, but they find it much simpler and more advantageous to have a professional win. She knows how to pose, she knows what to say and do, and, of course, she's more beautiful.
Makes sense. You say she's in trouble?
We did very well in Kansas City as Miss Ground Round for the butchers.
I want to know about now.
Well, since we've been here, Mr. Regan, there have been innuendos, threats against her life.
Why?
I don't know. Well, here, you can see from a picture.
You left pictures of her with Lion, I'm convinced.
I mean, Mr. Regan, it's seldom that a girl comes along who has all... delightful. I mean, it's insured.
Insurance is a wonderful business.
Yeah, $100,000 overall. And Lloyd's of London will pay $10,000 if she injures those legs of hers.
Mm-hmm. You want me to act as her bodyguard, eh?
Precisely, Grand.
Delightful.
That is, if you feel you can resist her. You see, Mr. Regan, her value as a professional bathing beauty is ruined if she gets mixed up with men. Marries.
Uh-huh. You, got a policy on that, too?
$50,000.
I promise I won't marry the girl.
Your big job is to keep men away from her.
What man? His name?
Banyan. He's tall, good-looking.
Yeah, I know him. Cheap rackets here.
Oh, excellent. Then we can do business.
Just curiosity, Albright, but what about the golden grains of patented wheat?
Oh, that's just a sideline of our enterprise, Mr. Regan. Women wonder how Jerry Shoulder managed to keep what you see in this photograph, so We started a little health food business on the side.
Yeah, another thing, if something happens to Jerry's shoulder, who gets the insurance money?
Massive Enterprises.
Which is?
Me.
I checked the insurance policies. They seemed genuine. I asked where I could find Jerry's shoulder and was told the beauty parlor. Where else? And that's where I headed, only instead of a parlor, it was a beauty salon. The doors were plate glass, the doorman an electric eye. The plate glass swung out. I swung in. I sank into the deep rug like it was something alive. The place was wired for music. There were flowers and a statue of Aphrodite, life-size, standing in the fountain. The official greeter was Trey Chick in ascot tie and cutaway pants.
What's it to you, Mac?
He said, noticing my glance.
You maybe want your hair done?
If you don't mind my asking, why are you working here?
The slick dames gotta get their kicks. I remind them of Humphrey Bogart.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, now, Humph, could you tell me...
My name is Mungo.
Who was that?
Just a dame getting beautiful. You was asking?
Looking for a girl named Jerry Shoulder.
All right, wise guy. In here. Mr. Banyan will want to talk to you.
The big guy rammed his shoulder into my stomach, then grabbed my arm and twisted it behind my back. He opened a door and shoved me into a room. He locked the door from the outside. There was another door, and it was locked, too. I looked around the room. It was like a medieval torture chamber. Weird racks and iron maidens connected to steam pipes. Metal rollers and headless horses. All to change nature's idea of what a woman should look like. I tried the door again. This time it opened. Only someone was coming in. She was young. She was lovely. She wore a bathing suit. Tall, deeply tanned brunette. Moving easily toward me on calendar legs.
You want to see me?
There's more?
I'm Jerry Shoulder.
I thought maybe.
I don't get to meet men. I'm sorry you caught me looking like this.
It's all right.
You see, I just had my hair done and had to wrap it in a towel.
Oh, yeah.
Mungo tried to keep me out of here, but I persuaded him to let me come in. You wanted me for something?
I'm your new bodyguard, lady.
Steve's starting that again.
Doesn't want you to get into trouble.
Oh, you wouldn't let anything happen to me, would you, Mr.
Regan?
Oh, Mr. Regan, the lion's eye. Oh, I've heard of you. I've heard you're very good.
On some things.
Well, you mustn't pay too much attention to my manager.
Your
Mr.
manager
Regan.
says you've been threatened.
Oh, there must be some mistake. I've never been threatened in my life. Oh, pardon me while I climb up on my horse.
Huh? Oh.
There.
Yeah.
No, don't leave, Mr. Regan. Stay right here. Time for my exercise.
Do you have any idea who might want to do you bodily harm?
I just love exercise, Mr. Regan.
Yeah, sure. Could it be a man named Banyan?
Mr. Regan, you've got to help me get out of this place.
You man, come here.
There was a woman standing in the doorway. There was a gun in her hand.
I know how to use this. Get away from her.
She motioned me toward the door. I obliged. Then we were in the hall, and I noticed the woman was holding the gun awkwardly. The safety was on.
You men are all alike.
Yeah, they tell me. Now, give me the gun.
You stay away from Jerry.
The gun.
I'll just put it back in my purse, but you stay away from Jerry now.
The woman dropped the gun into her purse. She wore a plain, hugging jersey dress. Gray hair in a bun at the back of her head. The kind of a woman you see in bars. Late. Alone.
We've got to keep men away from Jerry. I'm sorry if I frightened you.
Don't tell me you're a private eye.
Yeah. I'm Martha, Jerry's wardrobe mistress. I keep her bathing suits in cool, dry places. They're latex, you know.
Do you know a man named Albright?
Well, sure, that's Jerry's manager. He's the one that told me to protect Jerry, keep the men away.
Well, then why didn't you do it? The way she came walking in, anybody could have got to her.
I was busy for a moment in the back looking for a cool, dry place.
Does Jerry know a small-time racketeer named Banyan?
Well, if she does, I don't know about it. And I'm with her constantly.
Yeah, like today.
Oh, I'll bet you're Jeff Regan.
Yeah, so Albright told you I was on the case.
He
huh?
tells me everything, Mr. Regan.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe he can tell you why Jerry didn't follow us out into the hall.
It does seem
We
strange.
better take a look in that room. Jerry's shoulder was gone. Out the other door. But we still had a catch. Standing in the middle of the 17th century chamber of mechanical horrors was a 20th century mess. The ape in ascot tie and pearl buttons, only now his clothes were torn, his face scratched and bleeding. All right, where's the girl?
I was only trying to help.
Wake up, will you? Where is she?
Mr. Banyan, he said...
Banyan again.
Keep her safe from guys.
Snap out of it, will you?
I couldn't hit his girl. I tried to hold her. She hit me, scratched me.
Is she still in the building?
She even screamed at me, but I couldn't hit his girl.
Banyan, sure. And I know where to find him. Banyan operated out of the 7 Club. But when I checked, he wasn't there. I finally caught up with him outside of town, in a spot hidden from the highway. A country club. A gambling joint that featured bare-knuckle bouts, cockfighting, and now, Banyan, with a shotgun in his hands, shooting skeet. Pull!
Dead duck. Nice shooting, Banyan.
Talking to yourself, Banyan?
Huh? Oh, Regan.
Shooting clay pigeons a little out of your line, isn't it, Banyan?
Clay pigeons? You never know which way they'll fly. Sharpens the eye. Pull. Yeah. Makes it easy when you're trying for a larger target.
Nice spot you got here.
Doesn't belong to me if that's what you're after.
No. The way I read it, brand new beauty parlor belongs to you. Likewise, a guy named Mungo. That's your new front.
Regan, it's a salon.
Oh, yeah, I thought. What I'm after, Banyan, is a girl named Jerry Shoulder.
Never heard of her.
Beautiful, isn't she?
Very.
Look, I'm playing for keeps.
Oh? You won't mind if I just slip a few more shells into my shotgun.
Just remember, I don't scare.
Oh, I'd almost forgotten.
Open up, Banyan. Jerry Shoulder.
You know what my enemies are saying, Regan? That Jerry Shoulder's as good as dead. Pull!
He missed. This time. I checked the club grounds. No Jerry Shoulder. She wasn't with Banyan. I headed back to L.A. fast. It was late when I reached L.A. I had to get the Lion. I phoned him at his apartment. Nobody home. I called again 15 minutes later. Still no answer. I was getting worried. I went to his apartment. He wasn't there. I checked with the janitor. He told me the Lion was on the roof. That's where I found him. In bed. Lion. Hey, Lion.
Lion, Detective. Oh, it's you, Jeffrey.
Why is the boy scouting on the roof?
I'm sleeping in nature's own clean, sweet air. My boy. I moved my cot up here just this evening.
Look, Lion.
You're sleeping under the stars, just as Mother Nature intended.
Lion,
If Mr. Albright says my shoulder sleeps out even when it's raw, it's part of their health plan. Look at me, Jeffrey. I'm thinner already. You know, I've only had 8 kernels of the patented wheat today instead of 10. I did without dessert.
Listen, Fatso, I'm heading for Jerry Shoulder's hotel. I want you to check on Banyan.
You that low criminal?
Find out where he's been the last few days, how he's been spending his time, everything. Keep an eye on him.
Oh, all right, Jeffrey, if you insist.
I insist.
Do you think you'll find me shoulder at a hotel?
Maybe. If she's alive. I dropped the Lion off at police headquarters to get a rundown on Banyan. Then I drove to Jerry Shoulder's apartment hotel. The street was quiet and deserted. Most of the windows were black, just a few lights here and there. Patio balconies. Very swank. Inside, there was a self-help elevator. I went up. The elevator opened onto a long corridor. A small night light down at the end. The room was 306. I was almost at the door when the door banged open, and coming at me fast was that mug from the beauty parlor, Mungo.
Out of my way!
No, brother, not this time. My fist found his stomach as soft as pie. He doubled and fell. I jumped over him and ran into the apartment. The lights were on. The living room was empty. I tried the bedroom. The light was on in there, too, glaring white on what I didn't want to see. There was a body lying across the bed. Not Jerry Shoulder. A man's body. A bullet through his chest. The dead man was Steve Albright. The ripped sheet that covered him was stained. Purple.
This is CBS, and you are listening to tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator, entitled She's Lovely, She's Engaged, She Eats Soybeans.
Steve Albright was dead in Jerry Shoulder's apartment, a bullet hole in his chest, and what looked like purple acid burns through the bedclothes. I'd caught Mungo, the well-dressed ape from the beauty parlor, coming out of the apartment door, and I knew that Mungo worked for Banyan, the racketeer. Albright had hired me as Jerry Shoulder's bodyguard. He'd have done better to have hired me as his. I called Candid at Homicide. Now, the police photographers were gone. We were waiting for the coroner, Candid sitting on the bed next to Albright's body. Candid was eating Fig Newtons.
Well, I'm glad you held on to Mungo, Regan.
You think he did it, Candid?
Open and shut case.
You know, Jerry Shoulder was insured, but plenty.
Yeah. You said.
I called the night number of the insurance company right after I called you, Candid. They said all her policies were in effect but one. You know which one?
I'm not interested, Regan. I've got the killer.
It was the one that would have paid off to Albright.
The deceased.
If Jerry had married. That policy lapsed a month ago.
Well, my insurance is always lapsing.
Yeah, well, this one lapsed because Albright married Jerry Shoulder himself.
What?
The company wouldn't pay on that. And Albright couldn't let it out because there's no such thing as a married bathing beauty.
So Mungo was nuts about the dame. She gives him the come on. He finds out about her being married, comes up here and...
And?
Have a Fig Newton, Regan. They're real fresh.
And?
Well, he was going to kill the girl, like they all do, Regan. You know that. But Mungo gets real mad when he finds her husband in her bed, and he knocks him off.
Mungo denies it.
They all do, Regan.
You know, Candid, the way the bullet entered... Looks like it was a hurry-up job.
So Mungo was nervous.
You know Mungo worked for Banyan.
We've got the killer.
Yeah. Mind if I turn out these lights?
Hey, now, wait a... Regan, I can't see.
Yeah, it's kind of dark in here.
Regan, where are you? I feel something moving. There's a dead guy in here, Regan.
Give your eyes a chance to get used to the dark.
Oh, gee, turn the light on.
Huh? Barely make out the figure on the bed.
In the name of the law, Regan.
Okay, Candid. I've got all I need here. I left Candid and the dead man and headed for my car. But I saw something across the street that stopped me. A long black convertible with the top up. Over the wheel, I could see a face. Banyan. I ran across the street, grabbed the door handle just as the car started to move, opened it, and pulled the handbrake.
Take it easy, Regan. You're liable to get hurt.
Are you waiting for someone, Banyan?
What I do is my business.
Been up to Jerry's apartment tonight, Banyan?
Cops having a ball over there, Regan?
Yeah, real party. They're serving refreshments. Fig Newtons.
I stopped laughing in 29.
Maybe you've been in the building. Just got out. You were leaving without saying goodbye.
Where's Jerry's shoulder, Regan?
Let's look in your car trunk.
If anything happened to that girl, I'm holding you responsible.
Put that gun away.
She's the only clean, decent thing I've ever had in my life. Something a peeper like you wouldn't understand.
Try me.
Jerry's shoulder and I are engaged to be married.
You'll have to stand in line.
Yeah? Quitting the racket. Sure, at first I was just playing around with Jerry, but then I found she was...
different.
A decent dame.
You've known Jerry's shoulder how long, Banyan? 3 weeks?
Ever since she's been in town. Yeah, maybe 3 weeks.
How'd you meet her?
I answered a Lonely Hearts ad.
Look, Banyan, I know you started that beauty shop front so you could meet Jerry there. Or have her brought there so you could be nearer.
Oh, let's stop fishing.
Sorry, time's running out, Banyan. I gotta give it to you straight. Jerry's shoulder was married to Steve Albright.
What? Why, you lying.
Somebody's been killed in Jerry's shoulder's bed, and it looks like it might be a hubby. Maybe you better go take a look. Banyan ran upstairs, but I didn't have time to wait for his reaction. I had an appointment at Massive Enterprises. It was 4 a.m. now. A clear sky pouring cold moonlight down on the deserted stucco that housed Massive Enterprises Incorporated. The outside door was open. Steve Albright's office was locked. It opened on the third key. I tried. I snapped the overhead light on. Everything just as I remembered it. I opened the desk and found what I wanted. When Steve Albright had said that Massive Enterprises consisted of himself, he was almost right. The health food sideline was in the name of Martha Highgate. I used the phone to raise the line. Tried every place I thought he might be. Then tried the office of the Detective Bureau.
Yeah, Anthony J. Line, Detective Bureau. Anthony J.
Me,
Line.
Fatso.
Oh, Jeffrey, my boy. I've been trying to locate
What'd you get on Banyan?
That's what I wanted to tell you. I picked up his trail at the 7 Club.
He was with Jerry Shoulder.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I just talked to Banyan.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Jeffrey. I took his girl away from him.
Jerry Shoulder?
Yes, when they came out of the club, Banyan went to get his car. I spoke to Miss Shoulder and told her she was in great danger. Showed my credentials, and she came with me.
With you?
Yes. Oh, she's a very nice girl, my boy. She said she's had to go around with Banyan. He practically forced her to accompany him.
Where's Jerry Shoulder now?
Well, she was here at the office up until an hour ago. We had a midnight bite of wheat and quite a nice chat.
She's gone?
Well, I was out getting a drink of water, and when I came back, she was gone.
Anything else on Banyan?
Oh, yes. There is no Banyan.
Come again?
Banyan is just one of the aliases taken by a hoodlum whose real name is Highgate.
Highgate? And he has an older sister named Martha.
Yes, but how...
That's all I needed. Thanks, Lion. It began to make sense. When Banyan saw Jerry Shoulder had run out on him, he phoned downtown to Mungo, had Mungo check her apartment. That's where I found him. I looked through Albright's desk and found Martha Highgate's address. It was the Ronda Hotel. When I got there, the room clerk was smiling.
Room 405, Regan, but you won't find Martha Highgate up there.
Who will I find?
Smooth dame. Must be a friend. Had a bottle and some ice cubes sent up just a little while ago. Celebrating.
Celebrating?
Wearing a bathing suit.
I went upstairs and knocked on the door. I waited. Then I felt the knob turn in my hand. The door opened. And there, in a tight-fitting bathing suit, stood...
Ah, come in, Mr. Regan.
Hey, wait a minute. You're not Jerry Shoulder.
Come in, Mr. Regan.
The room was dim, in pink light. There was a rosy globe hanging down from the ceiling. A phonograph was playing. And the woman was the bathing beauty's wardrobe mistress, Martha Highgate.
Drink, Mr. Regan?
No, thanks, lady.
Oh, don't you like me? Just a little.
I'll like you more after we talk.
Do you like me in this light? See, I've kept my figure young, Mr. Regan.
You can't cheat Father Time with a pink light, lady.
My hair looks almost black, if you don't stand too close. It's long, Mr. Regan.
You even had the bellboy fooled with that bathing suit and your hair down, Martha.
I'm Jerry Shoulder now.
It'll take more than wishing to give you what she has, lady.
Maybe a little drink will improve your eyesight.
No one's eyesight's too good in a darkened bedroom, Martha.
Bedroom?
You loved Steve Albright, didn't you, Martha?
Love Steve? Oh, sure, and he loves me.
Yeah, he did all right by you, too. Made you part of massive enterprises, gave you a cut of the profits. But that wasn't enough. You wanted him.
I've got him.
Oh, no, lady. Somebody's got him now, but not you.
Not Jerry Shoulder.
Steve Albright is dead.
Dead?
One thing, lady, you didn't know that Steve and Jerry were married.
Steve, Jerry?
Yeah, you should have turned that bedroom light on before you threw that acid.
What do you mean?
Jerry was on a date tonight with your brother.
No.
You killed Steve Albright, her husband.
Steve.
You made certain with a gun. But you couldn't stand the thought of Jerry Shoulder looking beautiful even in death. So you used acid, too.
I can use this gun again, Mr. Regan.
Oh, no, you won't use it again, Martha. You're a one-time gal. You won't kill again.
Don't try me.
Give me that gun, Martha.
Stand back.
Give it to me.
All right.
The muzzle blast was hot on my face. But Martha was still a poor hand with a gun. The bullet went wild, and I had her by the arms, tight.
Get your hands off her, Regan.
Banyan.
Oh, honey, I knew you'd come. I knew you wouldn't let me take him.
All right, give me the gun, Regan. One inside your coat, too. That's right.
You won't get away with this, Banyan.
What's Regan doing here, sis?
Shoot him. Kill him, honey.
What's Regan doing in your room?
Well, he was going to take me in for killing Steve Albright. But now you won't let him. You won't let him, will you, honey?
Why the bathing suit?
She went up there to kill Jerry Shoulder, Banyan.
Why the bathing suit?
I'm as beautiful as she is.
Jealousy, Banyan. Your sister wanted Steve, but he fell for Jerry.
How about it, sis?
I wish now they'd been together tonight. I didn't know they were married. I'd have killed both of them. That's why I threw Jerry at you, honey. You wanted her, and I wanted to get rid of her. Oh, gee, I'm glad you showed up, honey. Now, come on, kill Regan. Come on, shoot Regan.
No. That's not the way it's going to be. All right, Regan, here's your gun.
What?
Thanks, Banyan.
What are you doing? You're my brother. You can't do that. You can't turn me in.
You don't need to worry about Martha, Regan.
No, I can't.
So Jerry was married. Well, all that's over for me. But you tried to kill her, Martha. So I'm turning you in myself.
No, you can't. That'll hurt me. You're my brother. Yes,
The woman in the bathing suit, flattered with a rosy light, allowed her brother to take her by the arm and lead her from the room. Banyan delivered his sister to Candid down at Homicide. But to make sure, I followed Banyan's car all the way. Too bad about Banyan. Jerry was the only good thing that ever happened to him in his life. But it happened too late. Anyway, Candid finally found the scared Jerry's shoulder, released Banyan's sidekick, Mungo, and that put a period. It was 10 in the morning when I checked in at the office. The lion was singing.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy.
Oh, nature boy.
Oh, Jeffrey.
Still packing away the wheat, fatso?
Oh, yes. Notice how much weight I've lost already, my boy. You know, this morning I saw my cheekbones for the first time in years.
Oh, eyes sunken, color gray.
Jeffrey, I've never felt so healthy. I've been eating nothing but golden grains of patented wheat.
Patented?
Patented. You know, Miss Shoulder eats nothing but health foods, Jeffrey. Last night she recommended a health food restaurant where we might have lunch. The Grated Garbanzo Grotto.
Fine.
It serves nothing but the finest dried soybeans.
Good.
Yes. Raw cabbage.
Delicious.
Delicious. Choice beech bark.
Yummy.
Yummy.
Yeah, I knew you weren't touching any other kind of food.
Oh, health foods, Jeffrey. Nature's boon to mankind.
That's why I turned down the invitation for you.
Moated mango. Invitation? What invitation?
Of course, I'm going.
You're going where?
Candid's barbecue out at his place. You were invited, but I knew you wouldn't be interested.
Barbecue?
No, you wouldn't want hot buttered corn.
Corn?
Rich Caesar salad.
Salad.
Mounds of golden brown French fried potatoes.
Oh.
Steaks 4 inches thick. So long, Lion.
Jeffrey, wait for me!
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written by William Frug and Gilbert Thomas, produced and directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, reminding you that Jeff Regan will be back next week, transcribed. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A 64-year-old shopkeeper is found murdered, beaten to death in the back room of his store. The body bears the marks of a savage attack. There's no trace of the killer. Your job? Get him.
How does Fatima compare with other king-size cigarettes?
Fatimas are the same length and circumference, 85 millimeters long, 1 1/64 inches around. And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as any other king-size cigarette.
Tell me then, how is Fatima different from other king-size cigarettes?
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Remember, Fatima has all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So insist on the best. Smoke king-size Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes. Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 19th. It was cloudy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 10:56 p.m. when we got to 1016 South 12th Street, the Apex Men's Shop.
Yes, sir? Friday and Romero, Central Homicide. ID card.
Oh, yeah, Sergeant. Been waiting for you. My partner's upstairs in the back talking to the victim's wife.
You answered the call, did you?
Yeah, that's right. Miles and Keever, Unit 16R.
Who are you?
Miles. Keever's talking to Mrs. Wilford, victim's wife. She found the body.
What's that up above?
How's that?
Music up there somewhere. Sounds like a party.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a dance place. Takes a whole upper floor of the building. Wonderland Dance Hall, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. When was the body found, Miles? Do you know?
Well, the wife wasn't very definite about it. She told us she came in the shop here about 10 o'clock tonight. The place was wide open, nobody behind the counter. Said she looked around a while, finally found her husband's body in the storeroom back there. Nothing for a weak stomach. It's pretty brutal.
What else do you have to say?
Oh, not too much. She's pretty closed-mouthed. Probably the shock of finding her husband like that. I don't know.
You want to show us where he is, Miles?
Yeah, it's straight back this way. Victim's name is Joseph Wilford. Owner of the store, ran it himself. Wife says he's had the business here for 23 years. It's a typical men's shop. You can see that.
Mm-hmm.
That's around the left. In here.
Okay, go ahead.
He used this for his storeroom, I guess.
Uh-huh.
No, that's it. As far as we know, the body hasn't been touched.
Yeah, sure took a terrible beating. An elderly man, huh?
My wife said he was 64 last birthday. She couldn't think of any enemies he has. Anybody want to do this?
Where'd he keep his cash? Did she tell you that?
No, cash register, I guess. Can't be sure till Leighton Prince gets here.
Yeah. Did you call the crime lab yet?
I'm waiting for you fellas.
You want to call him now? Would you mind?
Oh, sure, sorry.
Say, you might as well call the coroner while you're at it. Tell him there's no big rush.
Yeah, right.
Take a look around here, Joe. Looks like a tornado ripped through.
Yeah. Chair overturned. Clothes all over the floor. Yeah. Come here, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the body.
Yeah?
His arms tied behind his back.
Ordinary clothesline robe. What's that cloth knotted around his neck?
I don't know. Looks like it could be a woman's slip, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever it was, they weren't taking any chances he'd live through it. The wounds on the head here, and the neck, see?
Yeah. Looks like he was stamped on by boots, something like that. Maybe a narrow heel. Sure brutal.
It doesn't look too much like a robbery motive. Not from the beating he took, anyway.
Yeah. Looks like he might have had a taste for art. All over the wall here. Pin-up girls, fancy calendars.
I talked to crime lab, Sergeant. On the way out.
Oh, thanks, Miles.
Notified Deputy Coroner. Anything else I can do for you?
Yeah, would you mind getting the wife down here, Ms. Wilford? We'd like to talk to her.
Sure, right away.
Thank you.
How's she feeling? Any hysteria?
No, she's pretty quiet. She went upstairs to rest. A couple of housekeeping rooms up there. Guess that's where she and her husband live.
We'll tell her she doesn't feel too well. We could come up there and talk to her.
Right, Sergeant.
Right.
What do you think?
I don't know. We'll see what the crime lab can come up with. We can start checking around the neighborhood after we talk to the wife, huh?
Mm-hmm. Let me take a look here.
What's that there?
It's funny. Not much place in the haberdashery for things like this, huh?
A woman's nightgown. Black lace, huh?
Mm-hmm. Packed in a gift box. Is that a card there?
Yeah. See if we can read it without touching it.
Mm-hmm.
It says, to a beautiful girl, you've been away too long, hoping we'll never be parted again. It's signed Joseph Wilford.
Seems a little funny, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Maybe his wife's been on a trip. He's going to give it to her as a present.
When's the last time you gave your wife a black lace nightgown? 11:05 p.m. The two officers who'd answered the call, Miles and Keever, brought the victim's wife, Mrs. Agnes Wilford, downstairs, and Ben and I questioned her. She was a small, slight woman, dark hair, dark brown eyes, a sharp nose and chin. She looked to be in her early 50s. She said that both she and her husband had emigrated to America from northern Germany 25 years before. We asked her how her married life with Mr. Wilford had been, but she kept dodging the question. We asked her how she happened to find the body.
The body's just as you found it, Mrs. Wilford. You didn't disturb anything?
No, I just came back from a friend's and looked, and I saw him, and he was dead. Somebody killed Joseph.
And you're pretty sure that your husband wasn't having any trouble with anybody? No enemies?
No, he didn't have any enemies not to do this.
Yes, ma'am. You lived upstairs in the back of the store with Mr. Wilford. Is that right, ma'am?
And for a long time, yes, we lived upstairs in the rooms. It was nice. Saved money for rent.
Well, do you have any idea at all why your husband's dead? Why somebody'd want to kill him?
There was money in the store. They'd kill for that. You're policemen. People kill for money, you know that.
Well, do you know where Mr. Wilford kept his money, ma'am?
There was a wooden drawer on the table in the back room. He would keep the money there. But I looked when I came in first. It was empty.
Well, was there any money in that drawer tonight? Do you know that?
Oh, yes, $300-400 anyway. Joseph always kept it in there. That terrible place up above, the music all the time, the noise. You should make them be quiet. The dance halls have been up there for a year tonight anyway. They should be quiet.
Yes, ma'am. About the money Mr. Wilford had in the store.
Maybe $1,000. $700-800, maybe that anyway. And then his wristwatch he had on, that's gone too.
Well, can you give us a description of the watch, Mrs. Wilford? What make it was? What it looked like?
Yes, I can give that to you. It's white gold, expensive. Writing on the back, Agnes, Joseph. One birthday I gave it to her.
Have you been away from your husband recently, ma'am? I mean, on a trip or anything like that?
No, I haven't been away. Why?
Well, we don't mean to upset you at a time like this, but would you know if your husband had any women friends? Miss Wilford?
If you have a cigarette, I'd like one.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Here you are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your light, miss.
Thank you. Do we have to talk about it?
I'm afraid so, ma'am.
Most of them I know. For 10 years it's been like this. There were many of them. Young women. Joseph didn't try to hide it from me. I knew all about it.
You continued to live with your husband all this time, ma'am?
I did. He'd bring the girls to the shop here sometimes. When they'd come, I'd go away for a while. After they were gone, I'd come back. Joseph and I would never talk about it.
You mean you never had any arguments with your husband about the women?
No. He never lied to me about the girls. He had them, that's all. It was something he expected me to understand.
I see. You say you knew several of these women your husband went out with. Could you give us their names, please?
Yes, there's an address book upstairs in Joseph's desk. The names are in there.
I see. Would you mind showing us that address book now, please?
Yes, we can go upstairs. I'll get it for you.
There's one question I'd like to ask you, Mrs. Wilford. If you don't mind.
Yes?
About your husband, ma'am.
I don't know. Hurt very much at first. And then by and by, it didn't hurt so much. Time, I guess. Habit.
Beg your pardon?
A habit. If you want to, you can get used to anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Even a man who doesn't love you anymore.
We went upstairs to the housekeeping rooms where Mrs. Wilford gave us her husband's personal address book. She also gave us a description of his wristwatch, which had been removed from the body, along with the name of the jeweler who'd sold her the watch. It was a Hamilton with a diamond-studded dial. The crime lab crew arrived downstairs and began their routine investigation. We finished questioning the victim's wife, and then we started checking the neighborhood. Only a few of the stores in the area were still open. We found only one possible witness, a newsboy, who told us that he'd seen an attractive dark-haired woman enter the store earlier in the night at about 8:30 p.m. His description of her was only sketchy. Another hour of checking the neighborhood, and we went back to the store. Lieutenant Lee Jones and the crime lab crew finished checking over the entire layout. They went back downtown to give a thorough examination to what physical evidence that they'd found. The deputy coroner arrived and removed the body. Together with Hubka and Forbes from Homicide, Ben and I spent most of the next day checking with store owners in the immediate neighborhood of Wilford's haberdashery. They could tell us nothing we hadn't already found out. We got the description and serial numbers of the victim's missing wristwatch, notified the pawn shop detail, and got out a broadcast on it. 3:45 p.m. We checked with the office.
We got a slow enough start on this thing, huh? Everybody tells us the same story.
Yeah, seems to be pretty common knowledge. He had a lot of girlfriends. I guess we better start checking out the names in that address book, huh?
Yeah. Sure beats all, doesn't it, Joe?
What's that?
Mrs. Wilford, 10 years, her husband's dating other women right in front of her. It isn't normal. Can't see why she didn't just pack up and leave.
It's kind of hard to figure at that. Maybe she was still in love with him. I wonder how Forbes and Hubka made out.
I'll check the book, see if we got a call.
Okay.
See. No?
No word from him, huh?
No, Lee Jones called from the crime lab. Wants us to check with him. I'll call him.
Okay, fine.
2667, please. That's right.
Guess we better check with the morgue, too, huh? See if they got the body posted yet?
Yeah. Hi, Lee. Romero. What was it? You get the name? I see. All right, well, bye.
What do you have?
Lee talked to the coroner already. Wilford died about 9 o'clock. Cause of death was strangulation.
Mm-hmm. How about those wounds on the head and on the neck?
That didn't do it. The cloth tied around his neck. It was a woman's slip, all right.
Yeah. Did he pick up anything off it? Any laundry marks?
He did better than that.
Yeah?
He got the name of the laundry.
After checking for all stains and markings on the woman's slip, which had been found knotted around the murder victim's neck, Lee Jones had examined it under a special fluorescent light. He found a type of marking used by only one large laundry service in the city. We checked with the managers of the laundry company and found that the slip had been cleaned by them for a Miss Elise Dressler. She had a North Hudson Street address. We started checking on her. The first lead came from the dead man's personal address book. We found the name of Elise Dressler listed along with her address and telephone number. There was a single word scribbled beside her name and enclosed with parentheses. It said Max. That was all. 5:42 p.m. We drove out to the address, a Spanish-style apartment house on North Hudson. We rang, but there was no answer. The apartment manager told us Miss Dressler worked as a dancer at a nightclub on West 7th Street. Ben and I drove to the club, a high-priced theater restaurant which was newly opened. We were told Elise Dressler wasn't due there until 9 p.m. We had a couple of ham and cheese sandwiches and some coffee at a lunch counter, and we checked back at the club a few minutes past 9. The show was already started. We located the Dressler girl in her room backstage. She was a tall, fairly attractive blonde. We started questioning her.
Can you tell us where you were last night, miss?
Yeah, all right. Here I work every night but Monday. We close then.
What time did you get here last night?
Just about 8 o'clock. I had something to eat, and then I changed to my costume and went to work.
Do you know if Mr. Wilford had any enemies?
No.
Maybe somebody he was having trouble with?
No, maybe that wife of his. That's none of my business. I wouldn't know.
You can't think of anybody at all who might want him out of the way?
No, I don't think so. He and Max Hollins had some arguments, but that's the only time I saw Joe mad at anybody.
Who's this Max Hollins?
He's the man who arranged for me to come out from New York. Joe and Max have been friends for a long time.
What were the arguments about, Miss Dressler? Do you remember?
Yeah, about me. You see, Max brought me out here, and I suppose at first he thought he owned me. He didn't think I should go out with any other men but him. Max is stubborn sometimes. Well, so am I. I like Wilford, so I went out with him. I went out with Max, too.
Now, these arguments they had about you, would you say that they were pretty mad at each other, Max and this Mr. Wilford?
Well, only last week. Max was very angry with Joe, but I think he got over it. Could we talk together later? It's almost time for me to go on. I better get outside.
Oh, sure. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay. We'll wait backstage here for you, Miss Dressler. Is that all right?
Yeah, fine. Oh, that's all right. I still have a few minutes.
Well, how about the last time you were in Wilford's store, Miss Dressler? Can you remember that?
Not exactly. At least 6 months ago. I hardly ever went to see Joe there.
Did you ever have any occasion to leave any clothing with Wilford in his store, maybe for cleaning alteration?
No, I never left them. Maybe it's possible they could be there.
How do you mean?
Well, I had some nice slips, you know. First I sent them out, but Joe said he knew a very nice French laundry to do them. He'd come to my place, pick them up, and then take them to the laundry. Maybe he could have left them in his shop one day.
Well, would anybody besides yourself have access to the clothes in your apartment? Maybe a roommate?
No, I live by myself. I have the only key to the door except Max Hollins. He's got one. He lives in my apartment house, the upstairs floor. Nobody else had the key.
Did you send any clothing to the French laundry with Mr. Wilford recently?
Yesterday I did. 2 nice slips of mine. But Joe Wilford didn't call for them. I sent them over with Max.
How'd that happen?
Max said he might as well take them. He was going down to that neighborhood by the haberdashery.
Oh?
I wanted to see Wilford anyway. Max said he wanted to fix up their argument.
We continued questioning the Dressler girl after she finished her first act at the theater restaurant. She told us that she hadn't seen Max Hollins since early the day before. She was taken downtown where she gave us a full statement. Further questioning got us the information that the argument between the two men, Joseph Wilford and Max Hollins, over the affections of Elise Dressler was far from settled at their last meeting. The girl admitted that it was a serious argument and that it ended up in a fist fight between the two men. She said Max Hollins was out of town for the night, but that he'd return early the next evening for work. He was employed as manager of a room service department at a large downtown hotel. 11:30 p.m. Ben and I drove back to the apartment house on North Hudson, and together with the building manager, we checked Max Holland's apartment. We found nothing. The manager told us Holland's car was parked in the apartment garage, so we went down and gave it a routine check. Under the front seat, we found a paper bag with a pair of gloves in it. There were bloodstains on both gloves. We dropped them off at the crime lab for examination. At 6 o'clock the following night, Ben and I went to the room service department of the downtown hotel where Hollands was employed.
Sorry, sir. Mr. Hollands is late this evening. He should be here pretty soon.
He notified you he'd be in late?
Well, he called, yes. Probably be here in 10 or 15 minutes. I'm his assistant. Can I help you?
No, that's all right. We'll wait.
All right.
Well, pardon me. I wonder if we could look at your wristwatch, please.
Well, surely. It's just a few minutes past
No,
8.
we just want to look at the watch if we could.
Oh, sure. Here.
Could you take it off? I'd like to look at the back of it if it's all right.
Sure, that's all right. Here. Nice looking, isn't it? Just got it yesterday.
That's so.
Same engraving. Agnes to Joseph.
Where'd you get this watch, sir?
Why, what's the matter?
Where'd you get it?
Max Hollands. He sold it to me.
You are listening to Dragnet, actual stories from official police files. Now, listen to an actual Fatima sales report.
Proof that in state after state, Fatima sales are going up. Up every day.
In the first state listed, Fatima sales up 92%.
In the second, Fatima sales up 72%.
The next state, Fatima sales up 107%.
Another state, Fatima sales up 142%.
Still another state, Fatima sales up 154%. And those are just a few.
Yes, all across the country, thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos, superbly blended.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking. Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Next time, buy Fatima.
February 21st, Friday, 6:30 p.m. We called the office and notified them that we'd located the wristwatch taken from the body of the murder victim, Joseph Wilford. A stakeout was placed on the North Hudson Street apartment house. Ben and I stayed on at the hotel waiting the return of the murder suspect, Max Hollands. We talked to his assistant and found out that Hollands had a room in the hotel where he could sleep whenever he was called on to work late at night. 6:55 p.m. We called the office back and asked for a couple of men to be sent over to check the suspect's room. A few minutes later, Hollands himself showed up for work. Apparently, he'd been doing some drinking. Ben and I questioned him at his desk to stall for time until the men from the office could get to the hotel and make a thorough check of the suspect's room. Hollands was kept busy on the phone taking room service orders from the hotel guests. In between calls, we talked to him.
I left Elise in the apartment, and then I took the few pieces of laundry she had and dropped them off at Wilford's store. It was about 6 o'clock Wednesday night.
You mentioned to the Dressler girl you wanted to see Mr. Wilford. You wanted to patch up an argument you'd had with him?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure he didn't have any bad feelings about it. Really wasn't much of an argument.
How long did you stay at Wilford's store, Mr. Hollands? Do you remember that?
20 minutes, maybe a half hour. We talked, and we had a glass of wine in the back room. No, it was upstairs. We drank the wine, and everything was all right. I guess it was about 6:30 when I left the store. He was all right then.
Well, did anybody come in the store while you were there?
No, it was nobody.
How about Mrs. Wilford? Was she in the store at all during the time you were there on Wednesday?
No, he said she was gone for the day. She'd be back later on. We finished our talk, then I left. It was the last time I saw Joseph. It was a terrible thing, somebody to kill him. Excuse me again, please.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Room service, may I help you, please? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, could I suggest the Palace Court salad? Very nice, yes. Heart of artichokes filled with fresh crab meat, a Thousand Island dressing garnished with slices of avocado. All right, sir. 2 orders. Some consomme? All right. French rolls, coffee, and brandy. 8:13. Yes, sir, right away. Fred, this order for 8:13.
Yes, Mr. Hollands?
That's Mr. and Mrs. Morrow, 8:13. Make it quickly, please.
Yes.
One of the best men I have, Fred. We keep a very high standard in our room service. Only the very best. They're all Geneva men.
Yes, sir. Something else we'd like to find out.
21 years ago, I came here to the hotel. It was nothing. They were serving garbage. Bad service. Very bad. I built our staff one by one. I did it. There's our staff list there. Finest waiters in the country. Henry Sanchez, Fred LaSalle, Conrad Lutz, Joe Zwick,
Yes, sir.
and Elmer Creighton. He waited on the president when he came to visit here from Washington. The president thought so much of our service, he wrote a letter to Elmer later on. No argument at all. I have the best men in the country, the best food. 21 years to make it like it is. I did it all myself.
I understand you and Wilford were old friends, Mr. Hollins. You knew him quite a number of years, is that right?
Most of his life, yes. I knew Joseph in the old country. We came from the same town. Terrible thing that's happened. I always liked Joseph. A good friend.
What about these arguments you had with him lately about the girl, Elise Dressler? They amount to anything?
No, but it showed something typical of Joseph. Maybe it was the business he was in. Dollars. It's all he thought about. The big dollars. He knew he had more money than I did. He thought he could do anything with it.
How do you mean?
About the girl, Elise. I took a visit to the old country 3 years ago, Strasbourg. That's where I learned my trade from the best maitre d's in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I met Elise on my way back in New York. You can check up on all my background. I worked at the Grand Hotel in Brussels. That's when it was the best. I was at the Carlton in London. Then I went to Venice, the Hotel Danielier. After, I went to the Hotel Majestic in Cannes.
Yes, sir. What would that have to do with Miss Dressler?
Very nice girl. We liked each other. When I came back here, I arranged for her to come out from New York. Took care of everything. I thought I'd like to marry her when she came here.
And how about it, Hollins? You want to tell us now?
Sir?
Did you kill Wilford?
Excuse me, please. Room service, may I help you, please? Yes, Mr. Sutter. Dinner for 12 tomorrow night in your suite. Your wife and I made up the menu. Certainly, Mr. Sutter. I'll check it over for you. Let's see. We serve caviar with blini to start with. Then the soup, consommé Magdalene. And with the soup, amontillado. Yes, sir, that's Spanish. Then crab legs, Saint-Denis. Sir? Saint-Denis, that's crab legs rolled in breadcrumbs, fried in butter, served in a terrapin dish with bechamel sauce. After that, the Chateaubriand with truffle sauce, soufflé potatoes, small green peas français, and with that we serve Ponte Connait 27. Dessert, we shall have peach flambé, coffee, and liqueurs afterwards. Yes, sir. Henry Sanchez and Conrad Lutz. They'll serve it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sutter. Good night, sir. Real gentleman, Mr. Sutter. He knows how to give a dinner party. The old school. Not so many of them left now. It's not like it used to be. People aren't the same anymore. Oh, yes, Fred. What is it?
A message for the officers here. Sergeant?
Oh, thank you. Excuse us a minute.
Oh, good.
What is it?
It's from Forbes. They checked his room in the hotel. They didn't find anything.
Better get him downtown, huh?
Yeah. Hollins, we'll have to ask you to come downtown.
Oh, yes. Get my top coat on here. There. Out this way, Sergeant.
All right.
You park your car in the hotel garage?
No, sir, outside on 10th Street.
You can go out the side door then. This way. It's starting to rain. You both have your top coats?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's go. We're parked right down this way.
What did Elise say? Elise Dressler.
She said you had a fight with Wilford. You went to see him the same day he was murdered.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's too bad.
Might as well tell you, sir. We've got the evidence. Quite a bit of it. All points to you.
Oh? How is that?
Well, the pair of gloves you were wearing, we found them. The wristwatch you took off the body, we found that, too.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about it?
I didn't use good sense. I didn't know what to do when I went to see him. But I didn't have it in my mind to kill him. God knows I tried to talk to him. I asked him, please, to stay away from Elise. I asked him as a friend.
Yes, sir.
All he said to me was, Max, I give her presents and she likes me. I have the money to give her what she wants, Max. You haven't got the money. That's what he said to me.
You had a fight with him then?
No, there wasn't any fight. I'm not sorry. I killed him, but I'm not sorry.
You want to give us a statement about it downtown?
I suppose. I'm not ashamed of it.
All right, let's go. Down this way.
Any man would have done the same. How could you hear such talk and not kill him?
How about the wristwatch you took off of him, the money from the drawer?
I wanted to hurt him more, even after he was dead, after I beat him. I knew it would be the worst way to hurt Joseph, to take his money.
Here we are. In the back, Alan.
Yeah. Sergeant.
Yeah.
I've told you now. I killed him. Don't you think I had a right to kill him?
I wouldn't know.
But he was like that. The first time you met Joseph, you would know he was bad. It was better for everybody for him to die. First time you met him, you would know that.
I'm sorry, I wouldn't know, mister.
What?
The only time I met him, he was dead.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 89, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, with your permission, I'd like to speak to our good friends, the cigarette dealers, listening in tonight. A few minutes ago, we read you some figures from our latest Fatima sales report. The fact that coast to coast, Fatima sales have enormously increased is extremely important to you as a dealer. It means that more of your customers are now enjoying Fatima quality than ever before. You can do yourself and your customers a big favor by making sure you always have enough Fatimas to meet the ever-increasing demand. Thank you. And friends, remember that Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Tomorrow, ask your dealer for Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Max Hollins was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dragnet has a very important announcement for all of you at the close of tonight's program.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. 2 armed bandits invade the home of an elderly couple in your city. The aging husband is tortured unmercifully before he reveals the hiding place of his valuables. The 2 thieves make good their escape. Your job? Get them. Why are thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers switching to Fatima every day?
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Remember, Fatimas cost the same as the cigarettes you're now smoking.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Next time, buy Fatima. Best of all king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, October 3rd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Harry Didion, captain of robbery. My name's Friday. It was 11:38 p.m. when I got to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, room 5, treatment room.
Joe?
Hi, how's it going, Ben?
We're not going to be able to talk to him anymore tonight. Doctor said maybe late tomorrow morning.
How's the old man making out?
He's resting a lot better. Doctor gave him a sedative. Old fella sure had a rough time.
Well, how about since I've been gone? Did he tell you anything else?
No, just kept repeating the same thing. 2 guys forced their way into his house, beat his wife, tortured him, took all their jewelry. That's about it.
Well, I put in a call to the office. I got a broadcast out on the information that we have. There's not much to go on.
We should be able to pick up a little something more tomorrow. Doc said it's been a long time since he's seen anything like this, where they worked old man over.
Well, what'd they do to the fellow's hands, anyway? The doctor able to tell?
He thinks they used a hat pin on him, something like that. It's sharp and thin. At least a dozen wounds in both hands. He's pretty badly burned, too.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine somebody that cold-blooded. 71-year-old man, soles of his feet a mass of burns. Wonder his heart stood up through the beating I gave him.
Was he got a weak heart?
He's had a little trouble, yeah. Terrific shock going through something like this at his age.
Well, maybe we better check back at their house, huh? See how the old fellow's wife is doing, huh?
Yeah, right. How's it shape up for you?
Well, there's not an awful lot to go on yet. It wasn't a shot in the dark. I think we can count on that. Whoever the thieves were, they had some kind of an inside tip. The old man and his wife, well, they don't put up much of an appearance. You wouldn't be apt to figure that they had $3,000 or $4,000 in jewelry put away at home, would you?
Maybe his wife might have some ideas. Sure is a lousy shame. Yeah, you might halfway understand that they just held him up, but working him over the way they did.
There was no sense to it at all.
Trying to show off what a couple of rough bums they are. Maybe that's it.
Well, then let's do them a favor. Let's show them what it costs. Ben and I got in the car and drove back to the Westlake Park area to the home of the robbery victim, 71-year-old Wendell McClung, and his wife, Catherine McClung. It was a one-story wooden frame building, gray shingled, a typical modest 4-room bungalow. The men from Unit 31R who'd answered the robbery call were still there, standing by. Another pair of men from robbery detail, Powers and Gonzalez, were checking the neighborhood for possible leads on the suspects. Inside the house, Ben and I found Mrs. McClung propped up in an easy chair in the living room. She was a small, chubby woman, gray-haired, looked to be in her 50s. We assured her her husband's condition wasn't critical. Outside of a small bruise on her forehead and a case of nervous upset, she seemed to be all right. In recounting the story of the holdup, Mrs. McClung told us the 2 bandits rang the front doorbell and forced their way into the house at gunpoint shortly before 8 o'clock that night.
How about the color of their hair, ma'am? Their weight and height?
No, I hardly saw a thing. Just that one look at them when they first pushed their way in.
Well, how was that, baby? Blindfold you?
Guess they might just as well have. You see, when they started to hit Wendell, my husband Wendell, knock him down, I went after them, and one of them slapped me right across my face and knocked my glasses off.
I see.
I reached out to find them, but before I did, I guess one of those gangsters stepped on them. $35 glasses, broke both of the lenses, just ruined the frames. Oh, look at that. Of course, I can't see a thing without them. That's why I say I might as well have been blindfolded.
And you didn't have a chance to notice what kind of clothes they had on and what they looked like at all?
They weren't shabby, I know that. Pretty well dressed, if memory serves. Both of them in dark suits. If only they wouldn't have broken my glasses.
How about their voices, Miss McClung? Anything unusual about the way they talked? Anything that they might have said? Miss McClung?
No, I was just thinking. One's name was Sam, I remember that. The other one had sort of an accent of some kind, maybe from the Midwest or maybe Texas, one of those funny people.
Funny people? How do you mean, ma'am?
Well, you know, something like a cowboy or a farmer, that funny kind of talk.
I see.
Well, I guess I really should be inside fixing you men a cup of tea. Maybe if you'd just help me up.
That's all right, ma'am. You just sit there.
When my sister Dolly gets here, it shouldn't be too long. I'll have her fix something.
There's no need to bother, ma'am. We'd like to have you tell us this if you can. Did your husband do anything at all to provoke the 2 men? I mean, did he call out for help or try to get to a phone, anything like that?
It was the jewelry we had, Wendell and I, just those few pieces. The 2 men seemed to know all about it, just as if they had a list of the things.
That's so?
Yes. When they first came in, they took my engagement ring and old brooch that belonged to my mother I was wearing. Then they got Wendell in that chair over there and tried to make him tell where our other things were.
Well, now, is it pretty common knowledge around the neighborhood here that you and your husband own expensive jewelry, ma'am?
No, I don't think so. What the men seemed most interested in was Wendell's ring, his diamond signet ring. It was a beautiful thing, 4 carat.
Yes, ma'am. We've got a description on that. That was when they tried to force your husband to tell them where it was hidden. Is that right?
I never thought anybody'd be that cruel, officer. Downright cruel. They burned his hands and his feet, kept hitting him in the face with their fists. It was just terrible. Poor Wendell. He finally had to tell them.
Yeah, I see.
They went and found the things, and then they came back in here and ripped out the phone. Warned us not to move.
Mm-hmm.
And then they left. I just broke down and cried, officer. To see poor Wendell there, the way they abused him.
Yes, ma'am, we understand.
You're sure he's going to be all right? What did the doctor say?
Well, he said there's no danger, ma'am. Mr. McClung's resting comfortably now.
Well, that must be my sister.
You want to stay right here with Ms. McClung, Ben? I'll get that.
Yeah, right.
Joe?
Hi, Jess. You and Powers do any good?
I've been checking through the neighborhood 3 or 4 blocks around. Not an awful lot. A lot of people know the McClungs. Few of them know about their having jewelry. None of them saw anything unusual going on tonight.
The thieves used the car. We know that. Didn't anybody at all spot it?
I'm not sure, but there's one possibility. Some of the neighbors said a young kid was peddling magazines down this block tonight, just about the same time as a robbery. He might have spotted something.
That's fine. Where is the boy? Where does he live?
Well, that's what we asked the neighbors.
Yeah?
Nobody knows.
A supplementary broadcast in an APB was gotten out containing what description we had on the 2 hold-up men, plus descriptions of each article of jewelry taken from Mr. and Mrs. McClung. The following morning, along with Jess Gonzalez and Johnny Powers, we continued canvassing the immediate neighborhood of the hold-up. The only thing we got was a fair description of the boy who'd been selling magazines the night before in the vicinity of the McClung house, and also the names of the magazines he was peddling. Monday morning, 9 a.m., we got in touch with the local distributor for the publications, got a list of 5 boys who sold for them in that general area, and started checking them out. Third on the list was a Bill Newsom, a sophomore student at a nearby parochial high school. He lived a half a dozen blocks from the McClungs. We checked at his house, but his mother told us he wasn't at home.
I'm sure Billy won't be long.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right in here, officer.
Just go ahead.
Well, thank you. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you very much.
You must be him now. Billy, in here.
Yeah, Mom.
Come in here, Bill. 2 police officers to see you.
Huh?
Bill, this is Sergeant Friday and Sergeant Romero, my son Bill.
Mary Bell.
Would you excuse me? I'm going to have to start fixing dinner. You go right ahead and have your talk with Bill. I'll be out in the kitchen.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You speak right up now, Bill. Try and help the officers all you can.
Now, how can I help you? What's it all about?
We understand you have a magazine route in the neighborhood, Bill. Your mother tells us you were out selling this last Saturday night.
Yes, sir, that's right. Thursdays and Saturdays, they're my regular nights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really sell, though.
How do you mean, son?
Well, you see, I line up all my customers ahead of time. I got a regular list of people who buy from me every week. I don't do any door-to-door selling. That was not much good.
I see. Do you have a regular customer on your list with the name of McClung, Bill? It's McClung.
Yeah, Mr. McClung. Once a month, he takes a gardening magazine. Comes out the last week in every month.
Were you over near the McClung's place Saturday night? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was. I went right by it. I've got customers all along that block there. Say, this wouldn't be about that robbery.
That's right, Bill. You heard about it?
After church Sunday, a couple of kids who go to the same school I do, they live right around the McClungs. They heard about it.
What time was it when you went by there Saturday night, you remember?
Oh, about a couple of minutes after 9, I guess. Maybe a quarter after. When I heard about the robbery on Sunday, I thought maybe I ought to tell somebody about it. I wasn't sure about it, though. You know, I didn't want to be a pest.
What do you mean, son? You weren't sure about what?
This dark blue sedan I saw parked on the street there, just a couple of houses down from the McClung's place. The reason I even noticed it was because it was a new car, almost a brand new car, but it looked like the license plates on it were kind of old.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, I delivered some magazines to Mrs. Brubaker, and I got my money for them. And then coming down the stairs, I saw these 2 men. I'm not sure they came out of Mr. McClung's house. It's dark, you know, but I thought that's where they came from. Anyway, they went down the street, and got in the car, and took off. Seemed to be in a hurry.
Well, what did the 2 men look like, Bill? Do you have any idea?
No, I didn't see them too well. I wasn't too close to them. I was about from, here to across the street from them.
How about their clothes? You notice them at all?
Yeah, they had suits on, dark suits, I know that.
How would you describe their build, son? Medium, tall, fat, skinny? What would you say?
Why, I think I'd say medium. Yeah, both of them medium.
Now, about that car, Bill. You said it was a dark blue sedan, new model, and the license plates look kind of old. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's how I first noticed it parked down by the restaurant.
How's that?
About 7:15 when I started my route down on South Benson, I saw the same car parked outside the restaurant down there. Forget the name of the place now. It just opened about a month ago.
You sure it was the same car?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's why I noticed it again when I saw it up by McClung's place. I thought it looked kind of terrible. Brand new car like that with old license plates.
By any chance, son, do you remember the license number on those plates?
No, sir, I didn't notice it at all. I'll tell you what, though.
Yeah?
If I see that car again, I'll be sure and get the number for you.
Before we left the home of 16-year-old Bill Newsom, we got a complete description of the car which he'd seen parked near the McClung's home on the night of the robbery. He told us it was a 1950 Hudson, four-door sedan, dark blue, white sidewall tires. We relayed the information downtown to robbery detail. After we left the boys' house, we drove to the vicinity of the restaurant on South Benson, where the Newsom boy had first spotted the Hudson sedan. After making the rounds of several bars and coffee counters in the area, we started checking at the restaurant. It was newly opened, just as the boy had described it, full of glass brick and fancy modern stonework. The main bar was situated just off the lobby, set apart from the main dining room. We interviewed the head bartender, and he thought he remembered serving 2 customers, answering the general description of the hold-up men on the previous Saturday night.
No, bad-looking pair. They're in a little early, around 7:15, 7:30. They seem to be all right.
Do you remember what they looked like at all?
No, I didn't notice them that much, officer.
Can you give us some general idea?
Or on the young side, I guess. Not more than 28, 30. One of them talked like a Midwesterner, I think. You know, maybe Arkansas, Texas, someplace like that.
Well, could you give us any idea what they were wearing? Would you remember
that? Both had suits on, dark suits. One had on a gray hat. That's about all I remember. The reason I can place them at all is because Saturday was a pretty slow night at the bar. It's a new place here, you know. It takes a little time to cultivate a trade.
Well, did these 2 men stop for dinner here? Do you remember that?
No. They sat right here at the bar and had a couple of beers, and then they left. No dinner.
Did you wait on them, sir?
Yes, sir, I did. I served them both a bottle of beer, imported Dutch beer.
You serve quite a bit of that imported beer, do you?
No, not here, no. It's mostly cocktail trade. These 2 fellows are the only ones I remember asking for.
Oh, do you remember if the 2 men handled the beer bottles at all?
If they handled them?
Well, I mean, did you pour it?
I filled up their glasses and set the bottle down. I guess they did handle them. They emptied the bottles.
I see.
But they'd almost have to, wouldn't they?
Would you still have those 2 bottles on hand?
No, let's see. Today's... yeah, I guess I would. They don't pick up the empties till sometime around the middle of the week.
We'd like to take a look at them if you don't mind.
Oh, sure thing. You guys just want to follow me down the bar here? It's in the storeroom just in back.
All right, let's go.
It's right back here, officer.
Fine.
Let's see. Yeah, they're right over here. There you go. Holland labeled. Only ones in the whole case. The same 2 I served those fellas.
Yeah, I see.
What do you think? Fingerprints?
Maybe.
And as soon as you get the fingerprints, you can pick them up, can't you?
Yeah, when we find the men they belong to.
Monday, 6 p.m. We called Leighton Fingerprints, and they came out to check the evidence. First, they obtained a set of the bartender's fingerprints to serve as a basis for comparison. Then they dusted each of the empty beer bottles carefully. After the various sets of prints were lifted off the bottles, the men went back to the office to run the sets through, classify their findings, and then turn them over to R&I for further checking. While they worked on it, Ben and I ducked out and had a sandwich and a bowl of soup for dinner. 7:25 p.m. We got back to the city hall.
I sure am getting tired of the kind of food that guy serves, Joe. It seems to get worse every time I go in there.
It wasn't very good, was it?
I'm willing to bet I know his formula for the soup. 2 gallons of hot water and 1 bouillon cube. Well, I've gone and done it before. I may still do it again.
What's that?
Bring my dinner from home in a paper sack. Pack a thermos full of hot coffee. Be a better deal than across the street.
I don't know about that. You remember the last time you had your wife fix you up a thermos full of coffee?
Yeah, I almost forgot. Wasn't any better than the stuff across the street.
Hi. Where you 2 been?
Hi, Jess. Getting something to eat?
Well, Leighton Prince called just a minute ago. Told him I'd give you the message.
What's that?
Well, the prints they lifted off those beer bottles, checked them through the record bureau.
Yeah.
Found 2 sets. They made both of them.
In state after state, all across the country, Fatima sales are going up and up.
Listen to the actual figures in the latest Fatima sales report.
In the first state listed, Fatima sales up 69%.
In the second, Fatima sales up 118%.
Another state, Fatima sales up 92%.
Still another state, Fatima sales up 142%. And those are just a few.
Yes, coast to coast, thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos, superbly blended.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking. Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Next time, buy Fatima.
October 5th, Saturday, 7:40 p.m. The two sets of fingerprints which had been lifted from the empty beer bottles were checked through R&I and identified as those belonging to two known criminals. The first was Henry Vincent Moss, WMA, 29 years old. He'd served 2 terms in the county jail for burglary and grand theft auto, and 1 term in San Quentin for robbery. The second was Ernest Robert Windsor, WMA, 28 years old. His home was listed as Little Rock, Arkansas, where he'd twice been convicted on charges of first-degree burglary and served time at the Arkansas State Penitentiary. We pulled the packages on both of the men, checked the last known addresses, but failed to locate either of them. To double-check their identification, we showed mugshots of Windsor and Moss to the robbery and torture victims, Mr. and Mrs. McClung. They gave positive identification of both men. So did the bartender at the restaurant where they'd stopped for the beer. We got out a broadcast and an all-points bulletin on them immediately. We began the routine legwork, checking with all the friends, relatives, and associates who were listed on the mama sheet in each suspect's package. As usual, it was a long, monotonous haul. One of the persons listed as fairly close to Ernest Windsor was an aunt of his, a Mrs. Marie Rolfe, whom we located at her home in the Echo Park district.
No, I haven't seen Ernest in almost a year, Sergeant. What is it you want him for?
I'd like to talk to you about a few minutes, Mrs. Rolfe, if you don't mind.
I don't know how I can help you. You can come in for a minute if you want. I've got to go out and do some errands pretty soon, though.
It's all right, ma'am. Thank you.
Right in here. Sit down if you want.
Thank you very much.
Just got finished taking care of my little children here, giving them nice, clean cages.
Good singers. They all canaries, ma'am?
Oh, yes. Oscar and Ethel, that's these two here. They're both genuine rollers. Their grandfolks came from Germany. Beautiful singers. Wonderful company.
Yes, ma'am.
My others are pretty, too. They're only choppers, though.
Ma'am?
Choppers. They're different than rollers. They sing much louder. Maybe not as nicely, but I don't like to play favorites. I like all of them. You have birds, Sergeant?
No, ma'am.
You should. I think everybody should have a canary in the house. Cheerful, you know. Wonderful company. Don't know what I'd do without mine.
About your nephew, Ernest, Ms. Rolfe. Have you any idea at all how we could contact him?
As I say, it's been almost a year since I last heard from him. What would this be about, Sergeant?
Just a routine investigation, ma'am. We understand that you're quite close with your nephew, that he lived with you for a time.
Yes, that's right, he did. When you come right down to it, Ernie's a good boy. He kept bad company, that's what I always said. Got him in trouble 2 or 3 times. I suppose you know that.
You live alone here in the house, do you, Ms. Rolfe?
Yes, that's right, Sergeant. You see, I'm a widow. Husband's gone a good many years now.
You don't take in boarders or anyone like that,
Oh,
do you?
no. Just me and the pets here. They're company enough.
I wonder if you'd explain that laundry piled up in the bed there in the next room, ma'am.
What's that?
The men's shirts, stockings, the underwear, they're right there in the bed there.
Well, I usually try to keep things in better order than that. It's just some laundry I do, Sergeant. Little odd jobs for some of the bachelor men in the neighborhood. I do it as a favor for them.
You're sure about that, Miss Rolfe? Ma'am?
What do you want Ernest for? Why do you have to chase after him all the time? Persecute him?
We're not persecuting him.
Ever since he's come here from Arkansas, it's been nothing but police chasing after him. Can't you give Ernie a chance? All he wants is a chance. He told me so himself.
We've checked through his record, Ms. Rolfe. He's had all the chances in the world, and nobody's persecuting him.
Why are you chasing him again? Hunting him down? Why don't you leave him alone for a spell? Give him a chance to get a job, do something. Why are you chasing him?
Well, this is a robbery charge, Ms. Rolfe. He's been positively identified. He and Henry Moss forced their way into an old couple's home a few weeks back. They tortured the old man, and they beat him till he was unconscious. That's what we want Ernie for.
How'd you know it was Ernie? You could have made a mistake.
No mistake, ma'am. The victims identified his picture. There wasn't a doubt in their mind. And where is he?
You sure that's the truth? You sure it's Ernie again?
Yes, ma'am. Again. You can have all the proof you need.
The last time he told me he swore on the memory of his own mother. He swore he wouldn't do anything wrong again. I guess I just don't know, Ernest.
Where is he, ma'am? You want to tell us?
It's the last time, Sergeant. I'm sorry. Ernie's had his last time.
Yes, ma'am.
He's sleeping. The room over the garage. You'll find him there.
Ernest Windsor was apprehended and placed under arrest. His room was searched, as well as the entire home of his aunt, Mrs. Marie Rolfe. We failed to find a trace of any of the jewelry stolen from Mr. and Mrs. McClung. After we made arrangements for a stakeout on the house, Windsor was taken downtown to the interrogation room, where Jess Gonzalez, Ben, and I questioned him for 5 hours. He refused to tell us anything. At a special show-up, he was positively identified as one of the hold-up men by the two victims. Windsor was booked at the main jail on suspicion of 211 PC. The investigation went on. Every possible lead on the other suspect, Henry Moss, was checked out. We got nowhere. It was obvious that either Moss was in possession of all the jewelry stolen from the McClungs, or it had been hidden away someplace, known only to Windsor and Moss. From time to time, we had Windsor taken from his jail cell for questioning. It wasn't hard to tell he was bothered with the possibility that perhaps Moss had run off with the entire loot and was enjoying himself while Windsor spent his time in jail. We worked hard on that particular angle while we questioned him, but Windsor still refused to break, to give us any kind of a lead on Moss. A month passed. Wednesday, November 8th.
Sure working out into a dull routine. A full month. We got exactly what we started with.
Yeah. If we could only get Windsor to break, it'd sure do a lot toward wrapping this thing up, wouldn't it?
I don't know what he figures he's going to gain, but keep him quiet.
Yeah.
Gonzalez and Johnny Power said they were checking out a tip from some informant this morning. Supposed to know where Henry Moss is.
Wonder if they found any luck. They ought to be back by now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jess.
Oh, hi.
How about it? Did you do any good this morning?
Oh, not a bit. Informant didn't even show up. Johnny's going to meet him this afternoon. Doesn't look to be very much. How about you fellas?
The same, Jess. We're going as slow as you are.
I get it. Robbery, Friday. Yeah, George. Uh-huh. 3rd and Main? You sure, huh? Right, yeah, right away. Well, maybe we got a break.
What is it?
Henry Moss. He tried to hock a ring at a pawn shop, 3rd and Main, about 20 minutes ago.
You make it?
Well, the pawnbroker stalled him. He didn't know for sure that the guy was hot.
Well, how's it stand?
Moss said he'd come back to close the deal.
When?
Half an hour. 11:55 a.m. A special detail of men, including Gonzalez and Powers, Ben and myself, were sent to cover the pawn shop near 3rd and Main. Gonzalez and Powers staked out in stores adjoining the place. Ben and I were stationed inside the pawn shop. Another team of men covered the rear exit. We waited. The suspect, Henry Moss, failed to show at the appointed time. We kept waiting. 1 p.m., 1:30. No sign of him. At 1:45 p.m., a young-looking, dark-haired man in a neat gray suit entered the shop and approached the manager at the rear counter. There wasn't any mistaking him. Henry Moss. He surrendered himself without even protesting. We took him to the city hall, to the interrogation room, where we started to question him. Meantime, Gonzalez and Powers located the apartment where the suspect had been staying. His rooms and personal belongings were searched, and every piece of the missing jewelry recovered. Surprisingly enough, in contrast to his partner, Ernie Windsor, Moss was cooperative, even obliging. We had a stenographer take his full statement. And then we got ready to move him over to the main jail for booking.
Just a couple of questions before we leave, Moss.
Sure, Sergeant. Go ahead.
We've had you in here before. How come all the cooperation this time?
Why not? I had it figured before time. If you got me, you'd have everything you need on me. Wouldn't do much good putting in a beef, would it?
Whose idea was it to start with, Moss? The hold-up deal. Yours, or was it Windsor's?
Both of us, I guess. I didn't want to get rough with the old man. I mean, the way Ernie did. That part I didn't like. All I wanted was the loot. And he just lost his head. Too bad.
All right, you ready to go?
Any time, Sergeant. Hey, I wonder if I could ask a favor.
What's that?
Well, it's going to get a little tough in there in that jail. Wonder if we couldn't stop for a good steak and some French fries first, huh? Maybe some good restaurant around here?
No, it won't work, Moss.
You know I wouldn't try anything.
You put your order in a long time ago, mister.
What do you mean?
When you worked over that old couple.
Yeah?
That's when you ordered jail food.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 2nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. If you smoke king-size cigarettes, listen to Fatima's amazing new offer. Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos. Now, if you don't like Fatimas better than the king-size cigarettes you're now smoking, return the pack with the unused Fatimas and we'll give you your money back, plus postage. Now, we make this amazing offer because we believe Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. Smokers all over the country are confirming this every day. Listen to this state-by-state report.
State 1, Fatima sales up 92%. 2, sales up 72%. 3, sales up 107%. 4, Fatima sales up 192%.
Buy Fatima today. If you're not convinced they're better than your present king-size cigarette, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before December 1st and get your money back, plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1. Buy Fatima today. Best of all king-size cigarettes.
Ernest Windsor and Henry Moss were tried and convicted on one count of first-degree robbery and one count of assault with intent to do great bodily harm. Both men are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment for no less than 1 nor more than 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lives of millions of ragged and helpless Koreans depend on the unneeded clothes in your closet. Help these men, women, and children live through the winter. Send your clean, unneeded clothing and shoes prepaid directly to the Ark, Maspeth, New York, or the Ark, Oakland, California.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over NBC.